Chapter 591, The Heaven Commander-in-Chief is moved. However, right now it is impossible for you to take my arm. The golden-armored man took a deep breath before looking at Wang Lin and shaking his head. If you can ring it 15 times, then I swear to the sky demon that I'll cut off my arm for you. If you can do it, then shut up. If you continue to be noisy, don't blame me for dealing with you. The golden-armored man let out a cold snort. Wang Lin coldly looked at the golden-armored man. This man's cultivation level was very high. When Wang Lin withstood that golden lance, he could tell that this man's cultivation level was at the peak of the mid-stage of Ascendant, only one sliver away from the late stage. Although this person's cultivation level was only one level above the Xuan Vice Commander-in-Chief's, to Wang Lin, this level was an extremely wide gap. This was only secondary, though. The most important thing was that the spell the golden-armored man cultivated was extremely tyrannical. When Wang Lin withstood the Sun Lance, he immediately noticed the mysterious force behind that power. This golden-armored man's spell was related to the Yang Flame. This spell, combined with his cultivation, made him stand at the top of mid-stage Ascendant cultivators. He was even strong enough to fight against an average late-stage Ascendant cultivator. Unless he met a titled Ascendant cultivator, it would be very hard to defeat him. Of course, battling this person during day and night times would also differ greatly. If it was at noon, then Wang Lin would lose without a doubt. But if Wang Lin were to battle him at night and in a place with powerful yin energy, it would be easier. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and no longer bothered with the golden-armored man. Then his gaze fell on the demon drum instead. He had already rung it 8 times, and the rebound from the 8th time had broken through almost 3,000 layers of life seals. Even if Mo Lihai can enter, I have already rung it 8 times. At most, I only need to ring it once more to enter top 10 and not continue. If I go further and get injured, it won't be worth it. However, when I ring this demon drum, it stirs my mind. It gives me the same feeling that I get when I listen to the zither music by the riverside. Could it be that ringing this drum also helps my Tao? Ringing this drum doesn't follow my Tao, but the rebound the drum gives is a type of defying. The force I use to ring the drum is following the heavens' will, but the rebound is defying the heavens. This following and then defying creates a mysterious heavenly cycle. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light as he stared at the demon drum. At this moment, he no longer hesitated. He took a deep breath and hit the drum. Dong. The 9th ring came from the drum. The rebound from the drum entered his body like a flood. This was a defying force, and as it passed through Wang Lin's body, the life seals that were gathered on his body quickly shattered. 100, 800, 1,000, 2,200, 3,400, until more than 3,600 life seals dissipated. Although this force had been weakened greatly, more than half of the remaining force was still charging at Wang Lin. More than 30,700 life seals completely collapsed for the first time since Wang Lin obtained them. As the last life seal collapsed, the rebound force pierced into Wang Lin's body and moved within his meridians. It was as if Wang Lin's body was in a giant storm, as his body and clothes were violently fluttering backwards. His body involuntarily retreated backwards, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, until the 19th step, where Wang Lin's right foot took a step back and he stopped himself. His face turned red and took a few moments before returning to normal. After seeing this, the golden-armored man's heart relaxed a bit, and a sneer appeared once more on his face. He thought to himself, this child can possibly ring it 15 times. This is just the 9th time, and he is reaching his limit. I can confirm that 10 times is his limit. The surroundings were completely silent. No one dared to talk after the 9th ring from the bell echoed across the square. This result surpasses the #1 demon general, Mo Fei, and everyone knew that from this day onward, the name Wang Lin will shine in the Sky Demon Country. It has to be said that the Demon Emperor didn't care about where people are from. Wasn't the Heaven Commander-in-Chief also a cultivator? No one talked, and their eyes were all gathered on Wang Lin. Mo Lihai stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's change in these past few months was simply too great. 9 times I can do it. Mo Lihai let out a bitter sigh. As Wang Lin stood at the center of the square, all of the surrounding gazes gathered on him, but he completely ignored the gazes. Right now his expression was gloomy and unsettled, and he slowly frowned. After the rebound force was weakened by more than 3,700 layers of life seals, the amount that entered his body wasn't too much. He only had to cycle a bit of his celestial spiritual energy to return to normal. But at the moment the rebound force entered Wang Lin's body, he immediately felt a strange aura within the rebound force. It contained an unyielding spirit and the dominating feeling of going against the heavens. The rebound force came from this unyielding and extremely arrogant aura. Anyone that dared to provoke it would suffer its relentless attack. Even if the sky collapsed on it, it would hold the sky up and then pierce it. This was the intent from this aura. Wang Lin muttered, defying. I was wrong before. Using the life seals to resist this defying force was the same as resisting my own defying nature. In my heart, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious force. Then his entire person became very refined as he silently looked at the demon drum. At this moment, the Heaven Commander-in-Chief once again opened his eyes slightly and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin pondered for a long time before taking a step forward, then another, and another. After 19 steps, he arrived before the demon drum. Wang Lin didn't immediately ring the drum but used this palm to gently touch it, feeling its rough surface. Slivers of unyielding intent slowly entered Wang Lin through his palm. He slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, he seemed to fuse with the demon drum, and his aura slowly disappeared. The golden-armored man frowned, then he sneered and said, trying to act all mysterious, huh? If just touching the drum would let you ring it 15 times, then the servants cleaning the drum every day could ring it over 100 times. Ridiculous. He wasn't the only one who had this, though. Even the commander-in-chiefs all frowned as well. The shunned commander-in-chief was quite puzzled. What is this child doing? One of the commander-in-chiefs chuckled. Can this cultivator communicate with the demon drum? The only female among the commander-in-chiefs, the universe commander-in-chief, softly said, he is not communicating with it, but comprehending it. When I rang the demon drum, I also felt the aura within it. Could it be that you all have forgotten? After she said that, the commander-in-chief's expressions became serious. The officials watching from the stands could no longer keep silent and all began to softly whisper. Among the demon generals, Mo Fei's eyes lit up and he stared at Wang Lin. He softly said, could it be that you felt that aura too? At the moment Wang Lin closed his eyes, that unyielding aura became clear. This aura slowly gathered in his body and fused with his origin soul. He was completely immersed in this aura, and he thoroughly integrated himself with the demon drum. I'm not supposed to resist the defying aura from the drum, I am supposed to merge with it instead. If I can comprehend this defying aura, then this rebound 1T be able to injure me and instead will help refine my body. Wang Lin opened his eyes. His eyes were now filled with clarity as he raised his hand and gently let it fall. Dong! The 10th ring from the drum echoed across the square. Wang Lin's body was immediately met with an unimaginable force from the drum. At this moment, Wang Lin withdrew his life seals, allowing the force to directly enter his body. The rebound force moved through his body like crazy, and black drops of sweat came out from the pores of his body. Wang Lin felt the refreshing feeling of his body being purified. It was a feeling that he hadn't felt since he reached the foundation establishment stage. However, this feeling didn't last long. The force inside his body suddenly became violent. As it moved through Wang Lin's body, it caused his face to turn pale. Marrow cleansing. This child is using the demon drum to cleanse his marrow. The various commander-in-chiefs were shocked. Not only them, but cries even came from the demon generals. Xiao's gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with killing intent. He raised his hand many times but hesitated, and then lowered it. The gold-armored man's eyes became cold as he sneered and thought, marrow cleansing, this old man has followed the demon emperor for a long time. And the demon emperor did say that you can cleanse your marrow with the sound of the demon drum. However, that is only if you have a high enough cultivation level. Otherwise, if you try to cleanse by force, you will only seriously injure yourself. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes were now half open. He revealed a hint of disappointment and then closed his eyes once more. At the moment the Heaven Commander-in-Chief closed his eyes, he sighed in his heart. There isn't any need to observe this child anymore. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale, but his eyes were bright. There is some consciousness within this demon drum's defying force. If I were to completely fuse with it without a second thought, then although it would be considered defying, it would still be the path of the demon drum and not my own. I was injured by the marrow cleansing not because my cultivation is lacking, but because my Tao is different. In this world, whether it is cultivators or other creatures, as long as they cultivate to defy the heavens, they all have their own defying nature. Although it is only the word defy, everyone has their own comprehension, and there are countless Tao for it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up like they never had before. Although his expression was pale, at this moment, it was as if his domain had fused with his body. The light in his eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced by sadness and loneliness. Then he raised his right hand and gently touched the demon drum. Dong! The 11th ring came from the drum. At this moment, a sad aura spread out from the drum. It echoed across the square, spreading far enough to even affect Sky Demon City. The sadness in the echo from the drum was like the sadness of the zither music. It moved the heart. The sadness entered his soul. His soul formed a will. The will beat the drum, and the drum spread his Tao. The sound of the drum contains intent impossible. This is impossible. How could this person achieve this? This is absolutely impossible. For the first time, the golden armored man's expression completely changed. He subconsciously took several steps back and stared at Wang Lin. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief for the first time completely opened his eyes and stood up to look at Wang Lin. In the entire square, the only person who had his attention was Wang Lin. Big brothers and little sisters, do you still have likes for the video? Wishing for the like button for the video to help. Chapter 592, I Want Ascendant. At this moment, all of the spectators on the 3 stands were completely silent. The sound from the drum echoed across the area. This sound contained a kind of sadness, a wounded heart. Hearing this sound caused people to recall the past. Everyone within the square, including the commander-in-chiefs, was silent. The sublime feeling of a domain slowly trickled into people's hearts through the sound of the drum and touched their souls. Wang Lin's hand was still on the drum. At this moment, this ring from the drum had spread his Tao far and wide. The scenes of his time with Li Muan. The loneliness of cultivating for 700 years. Those 100 years he spent in the trial at the Heavenly Fate sect. The bleakness of walking down the street in Sky Demon City. All of this suddenly stopped when he heard the zither music coming from the boat. When the zither music entered his ears, it washed his body, cleansed his soul, and refined his Tao. The zither music that the woman played and the sound of the drum fused together at this moment. Wang Lin's heart acted as a bridge to cause the 2 sounds to fuse. He used his hand to ring the drum and transmitted the sadness that had been hiding in his heart ever since Li Muan left. The sound of the drum echoed across the square. Some of the people who were around even shed tears as they pondered this sound. They were moved by the sound of the drum and were completely immersed in a world inside their own hearts. Various things from their past appeared in their hearts. Every single person has a story, and that story is buried in their heart. However, there is a power that can drag out that story and let it surface, the power of resonance. At the moment Wang Lin rang the drum, he sent out the sentiment he felt when he heard the zither music. Among the demon generals, Mo Lihai revealed a look of reminiscence. Not only him, even Shi Shao revealed a hint of sadness. Only one person was an exception, and that was Mo Fei. At this moment he was calm, or rather, it could be called indifferent. The sadness from the drum didn't seem to resonate with him at all. No one knew when the sound from the drum had stopped, but it wasn't until long after it was gone that people gradually began to sober up. At the moment they became sober. Aside from commander-in-chiefs and a few other individuals, those that had sobered up were shocked to find that they had been crying. The Xuan vice commander-in-chief let out a sigh as he looked at Wang Lin, who was next to the demon drum. The complex expression in his eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced with admiration. Spreading his intent with the sound of the drum, perhaps he is the person the demon emperor has waited countless years for my cultivation, which has been stuck for so long, showed signs of increasing after hearing this sound. Aside from the Heaven Commander-in-Chief, each of the other Commander-in-Chiefs looked at Wang Lin with different expressions. However, the one thing in common was the shock on their faces. No one knew more about the meaning of being able to carry intent in the sound of the drum than them. This was a realm. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes were like lightning as he looked at Wang Lin, and the muddiness in his eyes had long disappeared. His name is Wang Lin. Wang Lin gently raised his right hand before turning around to look at his surroundings. Right now, everyone was watching him. His gaze fell on the golden-armored man. The golden-armored man's face was no longer gloomy but completely pale. He stared at Wang Lin and wasn't he able to say a word. Today, the cultivator before him had shocked him too many times. At the start, he rang the drum 5 times with his expression never changing, and his body remaining unmoved like it was a giant mountain. Then he rang it 3 more times to catch up to Mo Fei. Then the 9th and 10th rings came, and Wang Lin was forced back on the 10th ring. At that moment, he thought it was all over, but in reality it had only just begun. The 11th ring from the drum came while he was still in shock. If this sound from the drum was the same as before, he wouldn't have been so alarmed, but this 11th sound carried intent with it. The golden-armored man questioned himself and knew that even he couldn't achieve this. This had nothing to do with cultivation but with realm, a different level of domain and the refinement of the soul. The golden-armored man would never in his life forget about what happened today. At this moment, he actually felt unwilling to go against Wang Lin, and this feeling was very strong. 15 times and you will take off one of your own arms. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but at this moment, everyone was able to hear it clearly. The golden-armored man's scalp went numb. He would rather go up and fight Wang Lin. He was even more willing to fight Wang Lin without any powerful spells than to answer the question that came after the sound of the drum disappeared. Wang Lin didn't give the golden-armored man much time to respond. He withdrew his gaze, and for the first time his gaze swept over the spectators. Each spectator appeared in his eyes, and all of them chose to avoid his gaze. Of the 6 vice-commander-in-chiefs, all but one of them avoided Wang Lin's gaze when he looked at them. His eyes were filled with clarity as his gaze met Wang Lin's gaze. This person was the Xuan vice-commander-in-chief. His eyes were clear and revealed a hint of regret when he looked at Wang Lin. Then he clasped his hands at Wang Lin. Wang Lin nodded and moved his gaze. This time his gaze fell on the 8 commander-in-chiefs. Each of them met his gaze, and it seemed like they had learned a lot about each other when their gazes met. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief opened his mouth for the first time when Wang Lin's gaze landed on him. Wang Lin, I have remembered your name. Among the demon generals, everyone avoided Wang Lin's gaze. However, Xianxia let out a roar and forced his gaze to meet with Wang Lin's gaze. He revealed a hint of battle intent, but it was completely ignored by Wang Lin as he moved his gaze away. Wang Lin's gaze finally stopped on Mo Fei. This person's expression was still indifferent as he coldly looked at Wang Lin. After withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes and placed his hand on the drum. Right now, his goal was no longer to ring the drum. At the moment the drum rang for the first time, Wang Lin felt the calling of the ascendant stage. He had touched the border of the ascendant stage. I want ascendant. Wang Lin's eyes didn't open, but at this moment, his entire body was filled with a strong sense of confidence. He placed his right hand on the demon drum. Dong dong, although his hand didn't move, the drum suddenly rang. The sound turned into thunder and descended into this world. The sadness from the 2nd ring of the drum was stronger than the first. The fusion of the sadness of the 2 rings caused the sound from the drum to contain sadness as well. Wang Lin softly said. Still missing a bit as he said that, another sound came from the demon drum. 3 ring from the drum. The 12th, 13th, and 14th rings from the drum echoed across the sky. The sounds from the drum fused together, resulting in a force several times more powerful than before. This force left the demon drum and directly entered Wang Lin's body through his hand. At this moment, everyone heard a sound. It was the sound of things bursting coming from inside Wang Lin's body. This sound was very crisp and couldn't match the sound of the drum ringing. However, everyone that heard it felt a sense of comfort coming from their own marrow. Drops of black liquid came out from all the pores on Wang Lin's body. Marrow cleansing. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes shined brightly and revealed an admiration that he had never shown before. This is true marrow cleansing. Earlier you were merely cleansing the surface. The other Commander-in-Chiefs all looked at Wang Lin with a powerful sense of jealousy in their eyes. No one knew better than them why the demon drum was a treasure just below the Dragon Lake. The Dragon Lake had the spirit of the ancient demon, and it acted as a teacher that taught them Tao. This demon drum was made from the skin of the ancient demon and contained the power of the ancient demon. Rumor has it that every demon emperor inherits a spell that allows them to ring the drum to extract the power of the ancient demon from within, to help protect the glory of the Sky Demon country. To cleanse one's marrow with the demon drum was originally an honor only the natives of the Sky Demon country had. Foreigners had to have made a lot of contributions to be allowed a marrow cleansing. Every commander-in-chief was given a chance to ring the drum when they accepted their position. The reward for ringing the drum was marrow cleansing. However, whether they could achieve marrow cleansing depended on their cultivation. The 3 rings from the drum fused into a powerful force that surged through Wang Lin's body. His body didn't have much impurities left as it was, and it was cleansed once more by the force from the drum. 14 times the golden-armored man's face became even more pale. Aside from the man in golden armor, everyone else seemed to have forgotten about this matter. They were all immersed in the sound that entered their ears and shook their hearts. This was the sound of marrow cleansing. When a person is going through marrow cleansing, the sound coming from their body shakes the bodies of the people who hear it. This creates a fluctuation inside the listener's body that is weaker than the fluctuation inside the person who is going through marrow cleansing. When Wang Lin opened his eyes, all of the impurities in his body had been forced out by the drum. At this moment, he felt as if his body was about to be sucked into the sky. Then he looked at the demon drum, and his eyes filled with clarity. I, Wang Lin, have cultivated for 700 years. My cultivation has reached the peak of the late stage of soul transformation, and my Tao has fused with my body. I finally know why I still haven't reached the ascendant stage. Ascendant, although my domain has fused with my body, my Tao heart isn't complete. In the end, deep in my heart, there's a trace of sadness, an injury, a sealed scar. When Li Muwan died, my domain reached a new level and entered my body, but Wan Air became a thought sealed in my heart. This is why I feel sadness when I listen to that woman's zither music. I feel sympathetic if I were to listen to that zither music for 100 years until the woman playing the zither died. Then at the moment she died, I would gain enlightenment. The sadness in my heart would disappear with the zither music, leaving only a mark that will fuse with my soul. But today, by borrowing the power of this drum, I was able to experience the passing of a century in a short period of time. I fused all of my sadness with the drum and released it through its sound. When there is no more sadness left in my heart, my Tao heart will be complete, and I'll reach the ascendant stage. Wang Lin raised his hand and gently let it fall. At this moment, his thoughts, sadness, and everything about Li Muwan came out from the depths of his heart and rushed toward the demon drum with his hand. But doing this means I choose to forget. Do I really want to forget at this moment? Wang Lin's hand trembled. Just in time to keep the manuscript. Tonight's update might not be timely. If there's no second watch tonight, Leo will supplement tomorrow. However, Leo will try his best to finish today. To forget was to completely wipe all memories of her existence, to wipe away that last shadow of her in his heart. Even if Li Muwan's soul inside the heaven-defying bead were to wake up one day, Wang Lin would have no emotion toward her at all. He would only smile and send her back to planet Suzaku. Let all bygones be bygones. At this moment, a gentle wind blew by, lifting Wang Lin's hair into the air. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes shined brightly. He took a few steps forward to the edge of the stand and looked at Wang Lin. At this moment, it was as if he was seeing through Wang Lin's hesitation, and he muttered, "Will he press his hand down back then? I chose to press it down. How will he choose ascendant? Ascendant. How could people who haven't reached the ascendant stage truly know what ascendant represents? Ascendant is a lonely road for those without any lingering feelings or attachments. Then aside from having enough celestial spiritual energy in their domain fusing into their body, stepping into the ascendant stage is extremely easy. Because it is so simple, they won't have much growth in their future cultivation because their heart never experienced this kind of struggle. However, for some people, there are lingering feelings in their heart. For these kinds of people, their domain breakthrough is a test and at the same time, torture. The only female commander-in-chief, Xianxia, had a hint of mockery in her eyes. Right now, she had already recovered from the sadness, and when she looked at Wang Lin's back, the mockery in her eyes became even stronger. She knew more about the trial a cultivator faced when trying to reach the ascendant stage than others, because her master used to be a cultivator. To abandon all emotions and sentiments, do you do it? Xiao frowned as he looked at Wang Lin and snorted, deliberately trying to make it look mysterious. Chen Tao, who was next to him, frowned. For the first time, he thought that the demon general he found was pretty disgusting. He pondered a bit before calmly saying, "You won't be able to understand the struggle he is going through, just like how humans can understand the heart of a celestial." Xiao turned around to look at Chen Tao and then pondered silently. The indifference in Mo Fei's face became even stronger as he looked at Wang Lin and whispered, "You are as enviable as the him from back then. Interesting." The Dalu sword sect cultivator behind him was the only one who heard Mo Fei. His heart trembled as he lowered his head, and didn't he speak. The Xuan vice commander-in-chief let out a sigh. Although he wasn't a cultivator, with his status, he knew a bit about cultivators attempting to reach the ascendant stage. Although he didn't know much, after seeing Wang Lin's hand pause, he seemed to have gained some understanding. At this moment, on a river far away, a boat was leisurely moving across the water. The young man who drank with Wang Lin all night was sitting at the bow holding a cup in his hand. He drank it all in one gulp and then softly said, "Little guy, how will you choose?" The woman who was playing the zither was still on the boat. However, right now she wasn't playing the zither, she was just silently sitting there. Wang Lin's hand was still 1 inch above the demon drum, and he was staring at the demon drum. For my Tao heart to be complete, I have to wipe all the sadness from my heart. But in doing so, is it really worth it? Li Muan's figure appeared before his eyes, and scenes of her flowed across his eyes. If the price for reaching the ascendant stage really is to wipe away all the sadness in my heart, to erase Wan's figure, am I still cultivating Tao? Is this really my Tao Wan's life and death, and her eternal slumber? If I were to forget all of that, she will have become my cultivation furnace in a way. Although as I man I can be a saint, I always have a clear conscience. The heavens are ruthless, and if I were to be ruthless as well, how is that defying the heavens? I would be going along with the heavens. Throwing away my feelings is the same as those cultivators that left the demon general competition. This is a form of escape, and it is not my Tao. My Tao is to defy and walk against the heavens. That is my path. Ancient cultivators deceived the heavens to cultivate. I finally understand the meaning of the word deceived. How is this deceiving the heavens? They were clearly running away. Although it is not going with the flow of the heavens, the destination is the same. Wang Lin's eyes revealed clarity. I can throw away the sadness in my heart, but this lingering feeling is something not even the heavens can take away from me. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly looked up at the sky. An extremely astonishing aura emitted from his body. Although this aura wasn't strong, it was enough to make everyone, including the heaven commander-in-chief, tremble. This aura was like a sharp sword that shot out from Wang Lin and pierced into the sky. The sky was pierced, the clouds were pushed aside, and the world opened up before Wang Lin's eyes. This is, even with the heaven commander-in-chief's mental fortitude, he couldn't help but be moved. He looked at Wang Lin with eyes filled with shock. His choice is actually so similar to the demon emperor's. The heaven commander-in-chief looked at Wang Lin meaningfully. The golden-armored man's expression became even more pale. At the moment Wang Lin's hand stopped, he thought he might get lucky, but when that aura burst out of Wang Lin's body, he felt a disaster arriving before him. As he stared at Wang Lin's back, the killing intent in his eyes increased like crazy. If I kill him before he can ring it for the 15th time, even if the demon emperor blames me for this, he won't punish me too hard. After all, this is only a cultivator, and not only am I someone who belongs to the Sky Demon country, I have also achieved great merits for the country. The aura that came from Wang Lin's body disappeared immediately after it appeared. Real cultivation is to defy the heavens. I don't believe I can reach the ascendant stage if I just wipe out the sadness in my heart but keep these lingering feelings. Ascendant isn't ascending the heavens but ascending one's self. The heavens can interfere with me, only my own heart can. If my heart gives in, then I lose the meaning of defying and will be following the will of the heavens. If my heart is firm, I want to see how the heavens are going to prevent me from reaching the ascendant stage, prevent me from cultivating by defying the heavens. Wang Lin's eyes glowed brightly. He took a deep breath and without any hesitation fused all of the sadness caused by Li Muan's departure with his right hand. At this moment, the sky changed colors and lightning filled the sky. The lightning bolts were like silver snakes coming out of the clouds. The change in the sky above the Imperial City alerted everyone in Sky Demon City. At this moment, everyone raised their heads and looked at the Imperial City. This was especially true for the people at the square. Their gazes were all gathered on Wang Lin's not-so-tall figure. Even the young man on the boat stood up and put down the wine cup. He stared at the Imperial City with expectation in his eyes. At this moment, On the top floor of the Dark Tower in the ancient battlefield where Hu Pao was training, which was tens of thousands of kilometers from Sky Demon City, a ghostly light lit up inside the helmet of the completely black armor. At the moment the ghostly light lit up, terrifying fluctuations appeared in the sky outside the tower. The ghostly light flickered, and a message echoed in the tower. Heaven-defying cultivation very good. At the Imperial Square, all of Wang Lin's sadness was gathered in his right hand. At this moment, his right hand was filled with endless sadness, and he suddenly pressed it down on the demon drum. At this moment, the golden-armored man's eyes revealed powerful killing intent. His body suddenly moved, and all of his cultivation gathered on his legs. He moved at an unimaginable speed as he charged toward Wang Lin. Accept ye death. As the golden-armored man shouted, he appeared behind Wang Lin. At this moment, a bright glow appeared in his right hand, as if he was holding the sun itself. I definitely can let him ring it for the 15th time. I don't believe the Emperor will punish me if I kill him. The killing intent in the golden-armored man's eyes seemed to almost take solid form. At the moment his right hand closed in, the ground immediately began to burn. Everything within 1,000 feet was like a fiery hell. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes became cold as he jumped off the stand and shouted, "Jin Wushu, what are you doing?" At this moment, Wang Lin turned around to look at the golden-armored man. His sudden appearance was not outside Wang Lin's expectations. Wang Lin had already noticed that this person would not admit defeat so easily. He had already surrounded his body with more than 3,000 life seals, and with the help of the 15th ring from the drum, he was confident he could block this attack. The golden-armored man sneered. It was as if he was holding the sun in his right hand, and he was smashing it toward Wang Lin. His timing was very good. If Wang Lin were to dodge, then Wang Lin wouldn't be able to ring the drum for the 15th time, and he would immediately chase after Wang Lin. If Wang Lin didn't dodge, then he was confident he could kill this child the moment Wang Lin's hand touches the drum. The golden-armored man completely ignored the Heaven Commander-in-Chief and revealed a cruel smile. As the Heaven Commander-in-Chief closed in, the golden-armored man waved his left hand. He wouldn't allow anyone to stop him from killing Wang Lin. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's right hand formed a seal, creating a black light that collided with the golden-armored man's left hand. At this moment the expression of the young man on the boat suddenly became gloomy. His eyes revealed anger, and he shouted, "You dare! Jin Wuxu! You deserve to die!" Just at this moment, the golden-armored man's body suddenly trembled, and the killing intent in his eyes disappeared as if cold water had been poured over his head. Then the flames within 1,000 feet dimmed and a voice echoed in his head. His face was deathly pale as he said, "This voice." At the same time in the Black Tower tens of thousands of kilometers from Sky Demon City, the ghostly light in the black armor suddenly flickered and a cold snort echoed via a divine sense message. Just as the golden-armored man said those two words, a cold aura suddenly surrounded his body. The fiery hell 1,000 feet around him was instantly extinguished. A cold snort came from the void and only entered the golden-armored man's ears. The golden-armored man's body shook violently and his armor shattered into pieces. At this moment, he coughed out a large mouthful of blood and the sun in his hand was extinguished. Reading so much. Besides the golden keyboard is active, I ask everyone to support a bit more, not just words of support. I'm afraid I can't even carry the last 3. All of this happened in the instant the Heaven Commander-in-Chief and the golden-armored man's spells collided. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief was surprised, as he would have never expected his result. He was extremely close to the golden-armored man, so he immediately noticed that the golden-armored man had suffered serious injuries. And it wasn't just one serious injury, but 2. If his spell landed, the golden-armored man would die for sure. He had acted not to kill but to stop the golden-armored man, so he immediately withdrew his attack without any hesitation. But from the point of view of outsiders, the golden-armored man had taken a hit from the Heaven Commander-in-Chief and was seriously injured. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes were filled with shock as he withdrew his spell, took several steps back, and looked at the golden-armored man. The golden-armored man's body trembled, and he coughed out a big mouthful of blood. All of the demonic spiritual energy in his body was gone, and cracks had appeared on his meridians. At this moment, He turned from a fierce dragon into an insect. That snort was too terrifying. It was countless times stronger than the demon emperoress. No, it can even be described as countless times. It was on a completely different level. He didn't want to kill me. If he really wanted to kill me, I would have already died. The golden armored man was injured twice in a row. All of the demonic spiritual energy in his body had collapsed. His face was pale, and cold sweat soaked his body. At this moment, the golden armored man's serious injuries looked like they were caused by the Heaven Commander-in-Chief. But Wang Lin was very close and knew that the Heaven Commander-in-Chief's spell hadn't even landed on the golden armored man. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he suppressed the doubt in his heart. Right now was the best moment to kill this golden armored man. No matter why he had suffered such serious injuries, if Wang Lin didn't kill him now, then he wouldn't be Wang Lin. Without any hesitation, he lifted his right hand from the drum and grabbed the weakened man in golden armor. Killing intent filled Wang Lin's eyes, and without any hesitation, he slammed the golden armored man into the demon drum. When the golden armored man's body violently collided with the demon drum, blood mist came out from his already weakened body, and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood onto the demon drum. Wang Lin's right hand contained all of the sadness in his heart. This was the final attack he would use in the soul transformation stage. He would cast away all of the sadness in his heart with this attack. At the moment the golden armored man collided with the demon drum, all of the sadness in Wang Lin's right arm rushed out. It pierced through the golden armored man's body and into the demon drum. Dong! The drum echoed. The violent rebound went into the golden armored man's body without any hesitation. At the moment the drum rang, the golden armored man, the golden chief steward, Ji Wuxu's body exploded into a bloody mist and was scattered by the sound of the drum. The golden armored man's body shattered and he died a miserable death. Even his soul was shattered by the sound of the drum, so all traces of him in this world had completely disappeared. 5 rings from the drum take 1 arm. 10 rings from the drum take 2 arms. 15 rings from the drum. What was taken this time was his life. The person who killed him wasn't Wang Lin, but the person who seriously injured him. If only one of the voices had come, then he wouldn't have been injured so seriously that he couldn't even defend himself. He wouldn't have become immortal. However, those 2 snorts caused a powerhouse of the Sky Demon Country, who was extremely famous, to become a waste. Then, adding on Wang Lin's deceptive personality, all of this costed him his life. The young man on the boat was startled and muttered, "Dead, how did it turn out like this?" That he suddenly noticed something, and his eyes became cold. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he suddenly looked into the distance. It was as if his eyes could see through Sky Demon City and pierce the void. But then he quickly lowered his head as if nothing had happened. At the square, the Heaven Commander-in-Chief was the closest to Wang Lin. At this moment, he looked at Wang Lin and felt the defying intent from Wang Lin. He revealed the look of an elder looking at a junior in admiration for the junior's talent. At this moment, he felt as if he was seeing himself from back then, his life if he had chosen not to give up back then. The other 7 Commander-in-Chiefs all looked at Wang Lin with very complex feelings. Their focus wasn't on Wang Lin's cultivation, but the fact that he rang the drum 15 times. 15 times! This surpassed everyone else, making Wang Lin the person who rang the drum the most amount of times in the Sky Demon Country. The Vice Commander-in-Chiefs had long been shocked into silence. The Xuan Vice Commander-in-Chief took a deep breath of cold air. His cultivation, which had been stuck for so long, was on the verge of a breakthrough. This was all because of the sound of Wang Lin's marrow cleansing and the change his heart experienced through Wang Lin. The sober spectators no longer looked at Wang Lin with shock in their eyes, but instead respect. Their respect for the strong in the demon spirit land. Among the demon generals there was complete silence. Mo Lihai looked at Wang Lin's figure, and he knew that there was no suspense about him becoming the Vice Commander-in-Chief anymore. The 15th ring from the drum echoed across the sky. Although there was a scent of blood in this sound, there was also unimaginable sadness. The sadness fused with sound of the drum and was spread far and wide by the drum. At this moment, lightning moved like silver snakes in the sky, and thunder echoed violently. But when the 15th ring from the drum appeared, everything seemed to fuse. The raging thunder seemed to have absorbed the sadness from the sound of the drum. At this moment, an unimaginable sadness came from the thunder and the drum and spread across the sky, affecting the entire Sky Demon City. This 15th ring was even more powerful than the previous 14 rings combined. This ring from the drum represented Wang Lin's Tao, his sadness, his complete Tao heart, and a true heaven-defying cultivation path. This sadness, thanks to the help of the thunder, was no longer human sadness but the sadness of the heavens. Everyone in Sky Demon City felt this sadness and subconsciously cried. On the boat, the woman who played the zither felt the sadness and began to gently play a song. Wang Lin raised his head as he looked at the sky and whispered, "I retain my attachment. The heavens Tao is the way of the heavens. Even the mortal royal families have said that the true rulers of the world weren't the kings. The heavens Tao is boundless. It extends across the universe and is everywhere. Let alone the demon spirit land, even if it was the cave of a celestial, the heavens Tao wouldn't stop descending. Because everything in the world is the heavens Tao, if it exists, it is because the heavens Tao allows it exist. Heavens Tao, descend! The heavens Tao is normally invisible, and when it turns visible and descends, there is only one name: divine retribution. With the destruction of the celestial realm, divine retribution disappeared. But what disappeared wasn't the real divine retribution. It was merely the celestial retribution created by celestials. The real divine retribution is a punishment from the heavens, and it won't disappear due to a realm being destroyed. It will only appear when it is supposed to appear. The appearance of a true heaven-defying cultivator is the condition for divine retribution to appear. Fans celebrating the new year, please join the VIDEO fan battle team. If you need to complete a mission, Leo can praise everyone in the chapter narration. Outside the demon spirit land at the gate to the East Demon Spirit Sea, it was completely dark. There were specks of light in the distance lighting up part of the area. Just at this moment, a ray of light arrived from the void at a speed no cultivator or spell could achieve. There was only one word to describe this speed, and that was descending. Descending has already broken the limit of speed. It can even be said that it can no longer be described with words. Anywhere in the universe, with but a thought, it can descend. The red cloud descends from space. It comes from the void, and no knows where it originated. The moment this red light descended, an aura that would make all life in the universe tremble began to spread. On planet Tianyun, the Alzer had his eyes closed and was preparing for the plan in 200 years. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes, and they revealed a mysterious light as he looked into space. His expression slightly changed, and then his hand formed a seal. After calculating for a while, he frowned and muttered, "Divine retribution has descended with the interference of the heavens' might. I can clearly calculate everything. But I was able to calculate that the divine retribution descended on the demon spirit land and has something to do with my planet Tanyun Strange." On planet Dalu in the Dalu sword sect, Sword Saint Lin Tianhu was standing next to a giant pill furnace, and his eyes were glowing. This fundamental good luck pill still requires a few auxiliary pills just at this moment. His expression suddenly changed. He took one step before completely disappearing and reappearing in space above the planet. He looked at the red light with surprise in his eyes. Divine retribution. He frowned and showed a look of uncertainty on his face. After carefully watching the light disappear, he muttered to himself, "The divine retribution is descending on the demon spirit land, not good. Could it be that something happened to greed?" Ling Qianhuo's eyebrows were locked. At the same time, at a planet very far from the planet Tianyun. From the outside, this planet looked to be covered in blood. This was a blood planet! There was a blood pavilion on the blood planet, and a red-haired and red-eyebrowed man was sitting inside it. He looked to be about 40 years old, and he was silently cultivating. He suddenly opened his eyes, and a blood-colored light poured out of them. He didn't raise his head, but silently experienced the shockwave created when the heavens might pass by. After a long time, he closed his eyes. Divine retribution descended on the demon spirit land. I wonder how that Chao Zhixue is doing. Not only those three, but many of the old monsters noticed the divine retribution when it descended. Nothing could stop the red light from descending. Although the gate at the East Demon Spirit Sea wasn't open, the red light still managed to pierce through it. On the square in the Imperial City in the Sky Demon Country, Wang Lin was silently floating there. After the drum rang for the 15th time, the domain inside his body started going through a metamorphosis at an unimaginable speed. The ascendant stage requires one to have enough celestial spiritual energy and their Tao heart to be complete. Once both conditions have been achieved, they will fuse, And this fusion is ascendant. This is the legendary facing 1S Tao. This fusion is a collision of 1S Tao heart and celestial spiritual energy. The collision of the body and soul, an evolution from a human to a celestial. This is the biggest death trial of reaching the ascendant stage. Either this collision succeeds and one becomes an ascendant cultivator, or it fails and they die. There is no other outcome. A trial of death. To seek Tao, one must face trials of death. Even those who cultivate a variant path can avoid this. Unless one stays at the peak of the late stage of soul transformation and never takes that step forward. Wang Lin's Tao heart rang the drum for the 15th time and released all of the sadness within. His Tao heart was going through a rapid metamorphosis toward completion. Everyone around the square was silently pondering. In just one day, Wang Lin had made them experience too many incredible things, so his figure was now engraved in all their hearts. Just at this moment, the lightning and thunder disappeared from the sky and a fiery redness appeared. From a distance, this red was boundless and seemed to cover the entire sky. The expression of the young man on the boat suddenly changed. Then he let out a bitter laugh and said, "I seem to have forgotten about this matter, but this little guy is a cultivator. Back then, I spent a long time in the Dragon Lake and had many elders help me. In the end, with the help of the demon drum and several years of time, I was able to hide the defying aura and didn't cause a divine retribution. However, this is a test for this child. If he can resist this divine retribution, he won't be affected by the heavens anymore after he reaches the ascendant stage, and from the looks of it, this divine retribution's power isn't that great." Everyone in Sky Demon City noticed the change in the sky, and the people at the square were completely startled by this. The red light in the sky quickly condensed into a large number of red clouds. These red clouds looked heavy as they floated over the imperial city. As Wang Lin stood behind the demon drum, he looked at the sky and let out a deep breath. The heavens Tao can stop my Tao heart, but it can send punishment to erase my existence. This is divine retribution. I once saw divine retribution back in Keelan City in the Sea of Devils. Compared to that time, this is much more powerful. The red clouds gathered, and after an instant, red lightning began to gather. If the red lightning didn't fall or release an aura, this scene would be extremely beautiful. The young man on the boat looked at the bolt of lightning before letting out a sigh of relief and softly saying, "There are only two kinds of divine retribution that appear in the shape of a lightning bolt. It can possibly be the legendary second one, so I am 90% sure it is the first one, the simplest of them all. This little guy, Wang Lin's luck is pretty good." Wang Lin looked at the sky. At this moment, he ignored everything else and only focused on the red lightning in the sky. I have had some encounters with divine retribution in my 700 years of cultivation. I attracted divine retribution. When I refined the restriction flag, I changed Limuan's fate and caused the Heaven's messenger to descend this time. I kept my lingering feelings and decided to defy the heavens while continuing to cultivate, and this also attracted divine retribution. Wang Lin's eyes were calm, but they were also filled with determination. The red clouds in the sky suddenly began to move and condense together like crazy. The sky right now was like a red sea, and all of the waves were rushing toward the center. In the blink of an eye, the red lightning at the center started shining brightly, lighting up the heavens and earth. Shortly after, waves of roars that seemed to come from primordial beasts came from the red lightning. Then a series of rumbles came from the earth and mixed together with the roars coming from the sky. At this moment, the red lightning descended. It was like a meteor that suddenly fell from the sky and crashed down upon Wang Lin. A crazy amount of killing intent suddenly appeared. This was the killing intent of the heavens. The heavens' killing intent. Sky Demon City, which was currently experiencing summer, experienced snow. The snowflakes fell from the sky, and every single snowflake contained the killing intent of the heavens. The red lightning came crashing down in the snow. There was only one sound left in this world, and that was the rumbling that represented the wrath of the heavens. There was only one color left in this world, and that was the blood red of the divine retribution lightning. There was only one killing intent left in this world, and that was the heavens' killing intent, which was more powerful than the killing intent one would obtain after slaughtering billions of people. The heavens wanted to kill someone. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, and they released a bright glow as more than 3,700 life seals suddenly gathered around his body. At the same time, he slapped his bag of holding, causing the restriction flag to appear. With one shake, a large amount of black gas appeared around his body, and there were countless restrictions flashing inside the black gas. No matter how angry the heavens are, they can't erase my existence. As Wang Lin laughed, he pointed at the red lightning in the sky. At this moment, Wang Lin was as graceful as the sun and moon. His hair and clothes fluttered in the wind, and his eyes revealed an unyielding aura. At this comment, he was an indomitable man. With one point of his finger, the black gas around him charged into the sky. The countless restrictions inside the black gas formed a black tornado that welcomed the divine retribution. The red lightning descended and collided with the black tornado. At this moment, an unimaginable explosion echoed and rumbled across the land. The ears of countless people in Sky Demon City bled and countless people were knocked out due to the shock. The spectators around the square suffered the same fate. Although the demon generals were better off, their demonic spiritual energy cycled through their bodies without their control. It was as if their bodies would collapse under this sound if they didn't do this. Only the commander-in-chiefs calmly looked at the divine retribution. The black tornado made of countless restrictions clashed with the red lightning without any hesitation. At this moment, it was as if a giant hand had just crushed the black tornado, causing it to collapse. The red lightning pierced through it and sliced it in half like a sharp sword. The tornado collapsed, and the restrictions all shattered into nothingness. The heavens want to kill me, but I want to destroy the heavens. Wang Lin's body gave off an astonishing aura. At the moment the red lightning broke the restrictions, he suddenly lifted his finger and used the finger of death. This wasn't just one finger of death, but 100. Wang Lin's left hand touched his bag of holding and a large amount of celestial jades poured out, forming a small hill under his feet. Wang Lin was standing on top of the small hill with the demon drum behind his back. As he looked up at the sky, a large amount of celestial spiritual energy entered his body through his feet. The 100 fingers of death fused into one, transforming into a ray of black light more than 30 feet long, and charged out directly at the red lightning. I dare to defy the heavens to continue to cultivate, and keeping my lingering feeling means I wish to fight against heavens. Divine retribution, even if you can destroy my body, you can destroy my Tao heart. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and at this moment, the light from his eyes pierced through the red lightning and directly entered the red clouds. An even louder thunder echoed across the sky, as if it was answering Wang Lin's Tao. It's time to double the likes for the video, wishing for more likes for the video. Chapter 596, Heaven's Might. The 100 fingers of death created a ray of death as they charged through the sky and collided with the red lightning. Then an even louder thunder echoed across the sky. At this moment the entire sky trembled as if it was about to be flipped upside down. The finger of death absorbs life force and converts it into destruction. At the moment the finger of death collided with the red lightning, it had absorbed a lot of life, but it was still no match for the divine retribution lightning. Under the force of the red lightning, the black light from the finger of death rapidly dissipated until it was completely gone. The red lightning continued descending, but its color was a bit dimmer than before. Wang Lin's hair flowed in the wind as he looked at the red lightning with an unyielding gaze. He decided to simply remove all of the life seals that were protecting him and turn them into more than 3,700 strands of slaughter energy. His right hand pointed at the sky, and the slaughter energy gathered at his hand. More than 3,700 strands of slaughter energy rushed out like a storm. As Wang Lin stood inside this storm, his eyes revealed powerful killing intent. Kill! With one shout, the slaughter energy in his hand quickly condensed. From more than 3,700 strands into one, it turned into a black dragon, a dragon of slaughter. Wang Lin's eyes turned red. Not only did he have killing intent, he also had a heart of slaughter. He wasn't the type of person to have killing intent toward the heavens, but this was enough to make him a genius of the generation. A true genius. Wang Lin had a personality that was willing to do whatever was needed. It didn't matter if you were the heavens or the heavens Tao. If you wanted to kill him, then he'd kill you no matter who you are. With his heart of slaughter and his killing intent, the dragon formed by the slaughter energy seemed to gain a life of its own. This dragon represented Wang Lin's intent to defy the heavens. Slaughter! The dragon let out a roar and directly went to devour the red lightning. Even the divine retribution of the heavens seemed to dim at the moment it was devoured by the dragon. But divine retribution was punishment from the heavens, and it carried the killing intent of the heavens themselves. Although the slaughtered dragon was strong, it still wasn't T enough. The dragon collapsed, but its collapse caused the red lightning to dim even more and its size to shrink down. The roar of the dragon was still echoing in the sky as the red lightning pierced through the dragon and charged directly at Wang Lin. At the moment the red lightning descended, Wang Lin's hair began to flutter in a strange way, and a strange black light appeared on his right index finger. Demonic finger. The red light in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared and was replaced by a light that could only exist in the eyes of a demon. All of the celestial spiritual energy in his body moved like crazy as it turned into demonic spiritual energy. At this moment, the small hill of jades below Wang Lin's feet, which was milky white before, now started to turn black as if black ink was being poured over it. In the blink of an eye, the entire small pile of celestial jades turned completely black. All of the celestial spiritual energy inside was completely changed into demonic spiritual energy. The demonic finger looked completely different from before. Even if Situnan were to come here personally and use the demonic finger, it wouldn't be much stronger than the one Wang Lin was using right now. This was because Wang Lin didn't only convert the celestial spiritual energy in his body, but also all of the celestial spiritual energy in the small hill of celestial jades below his feet into an endless amount of demonic spiritual energy. What was inside the black light at the tip of his finger wasn't only demonic spiritual energy, but also his Tao. It didn't matter if it was the celestial Tao or demonic Tao. This contained the defying nature Wang Lin had toward the heavens in his heart. The black light also contained strong attachment, Wang Lin's will to keep his lingering feelings for Li Muan, and his courage to defy the heavens. It also contained the determination and unyielding nature from when he was a mortal who experienced many disasters and went through countless dangers as he walked down his own path in cultivation. This finger moved everyone's hearts. The black light rushed at the red light. At this moment, it was as if the world had reverted to the time of primordial chaos. The red was the sky and the black was the earth. The red represented divine retribution, and the black represented heaven-defying intent. The collision of red and black was heaven-shaking, and at this moment the entire sky demon city trembled. The earthquake traveled to the surrounding mountains and plains as well. Sounds of explosions came from the ground as if there were countless bombs going off underground. An unimaginable force was created from these explosions, causing the entire square to completely collapse. All of the surrounding stands collapsed as well, sending countless people flying. All of the demon generals quickly retreated, as if they'd be caught up in this if they were one step too late. All of the commander-in-chief's expressions changed and they retreated, except for the heaven commander-in-chief. He was the closest, and he saw everything before letting out a sigh. Then he touched his bag of holding and took out a jade bottle. He gave the jade bottle a meaningful look before throwing it at Wang Lin and leaving. In the sky above Wang Lin, the red and black canceled each other out. With the power of the restriction flag, 100 fingers of death, more than 3,700 slaughtered dragons filled with Wang Lin's heart of slaughter, and countless celestial jades converted into demonic spiritual energy to create the most powerful demonic finger Wang Lin has ever created. The red light was finally neutralized after all these spells were fused. The moment the red light disappeared, the ground stopped shaking, and everything seemed to start returning to normal. But at this moment, the panic from the countless people in Sky Demon City created a depressing atmosphere that surrounded the entire city. At the moment the red lightning disappeared, Wang Lin's face was extremely pale. He caught the jade bottle the Heaven Commander-in-Chief gave him. There was one pill inside the bottle, but he didn't consume it. He looked up at the sky with a serious expression. Wang Lin didn't believe that the heavens would only send one bolt of divine retribution lightning when it wanted to kill someone. The young man on the boat also looked at the sky with a serious expression. There was a trace of shock on his face. The red cloud didn't dissipate, but there was no violent reaction, as if everything was calming down. But this calmness created an invisible pressure that enveloped the heavens and earth. This is the young man's expression changed greatly. He could no longer keep the composure he had before, and he took a step and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was in the sky above the imperial city. When he came so close to the divine retribution cloud, his scalp couldn't help but go numb. This time it seems things have gotten out of hand. The young man bitterly smiled. Almost at the moment he appeared, his right hand reached out toward Wang Lin. He was about to bring Wang Lin out of the imperial city to go through the divine retribution. If the divine retribution was what he first thought it was, then he wouldn't be this alarmed, but right now this divine retribution was giving him a bad feeling. Just as he was about to reach out, he suddenly stopped before looking up at the sky. He bitterly smiled and thought, since this little guy has been locked onto by the divine retribution, I don't have the ability to move him. Then the young man took a deep breath and without any hesitation opened his arms. His body flickered as he changed from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and in an instant turned into 8 people. 8 identical young men quickly moved to the 8 cities around the Imperial City and activated a greater teleport spell to instantly move all of the residents away. This spell is extremely difficult. Even for this person, he had to use some secret technique to barely be able to pull this off. Just as he finished doing all of this, the sky suddenly changed. The red cloud in the sky quickly gathered above Sky Demon City. Then a sense of majesty came from the red clouds before they covered the entire city. The young man was in the sky outside of the city, and when he noticed this majesty, his expression changed once more. This is the heaven's might. Without any hesitation, he quickly landed on the ground. He bitterly smiled and said, "The heaven's might has appeared. I wonder if the ancestors will appear." Standing upon the shattered square, Wang Lin looked up at the sky. The unyielding nature in his eyes didn't change at all. The second punishment of the heavens descended. This time the divine retribution appeared in the form of the heaven's might. The heaven's might? What is this so-called heaven's might? The heaven's might is the might of the heavens. When the heaven's might moves, everything is destroyed. When the heaven's might moves, the sky changes color. When the heaven's might moves, no creature is allowed to resist it. You must yield under the heaven's might, become suppressed below the heavens, and give in to its might. This is the heaven's might. As the heaven's might descended, a powerful pressure came from the sky. The massive red cloud in the sky descended by 1 inch. This descent of 1 inch caused the already shattered square to explode everywhere. The shock wave created by the explosion didn't even get to spread before being forced into the ground by this pressure. Under the might of the heavens, the shock wave didn't have the qualifications to even kick up dust. Wang Lin only felt his body become heavy as if there were millions of pounds pressing down on top of him. He could hear crisp bursting sounds coming from his body. At this moment, Wang Lin had the illusion that he was being squeezed by the world itself. This was the same feeling from back when he cultivated under the pressure of the spirit vein in the soul refining sect. Back then, his cultivation was wasted, and he had regressed into a mere mortal. Shortly after, the heavens might moved once more, and all of the red clouds descended once more. This time the pressure increased even more and all of the palaces around the square collapsed into tiny pieces. This kind of collapse spread like crazy with Wang Lin as the center, and the heavens might slowly descended. In almost an instant, a small portion of the imperial palace began to collapse. Wang Lin's leg didn't move at all, as a powerful, unyielding aura exploded from his body. He raised his head as he looked at the red cloud in the sky, and softly said, "I won't give in." Bursts of thunder came from the red cloud as it began to descend once more. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. This time it descended 3 inches in a row and the heavens might came crashing down. The earth made a sound like it couldn't withstand the pressure anymore. All of the buildings in the imperial palace were crushed under this pressure. The imperial city of the Sky Demon country, which stood for countless years, all turned to dust with the exception of the demon drum. At this moment, it was as if the sky had collapsed. This was the heaven's might. One must give in under the might of the heavens. If you don't give in, then you will be crushed to death by the heaven's might. If the heavens want to kill, then you must die. At the moment the imperial city turned into ruins, bursts of anger rushed out from underground. As usual, 2 chapters at noon, about 10 minutes apart, and 2 more at 8 in the evening, 10 minutes apart. If anything comes up, the other will be informed. Longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 597, Demon Drum. Dog shit, divine retribution, and little scoundrel. You guys dare to destroy my Sky Demon country's capital? Damn you all. You brats deserve to die, and this divine retribution deserves to die even more. Ha ha, divine retribution. Good. My ancestor survived through a divine retribution to cultivate. I want to see how much power this divine retribution has. Bursts of angry roars rushed out from underground. Then thunderous rumblings came from below the ground no weaker than the thunder from the divine retribution. 5 powerful shockwaves charged out from underground. Although the Heaven's Might was trying to suppress it, this shockwave was still able to force itself 100 feet into the air. 5 white-haired old men with eyes filled with demonic spiritual energy charged out along with the 5 shockwaves. Just from looking at them, one could feel the passage of time. Their skinny upper bodies were naked, but those lean bodies gave off an almost primordial aura. The red cloud in the sky churned violently and descended 3 more inches. The ground of the entire capital city shattered, and drops of blood came out from the pores all over Wang Lin's body. There were sounds of his flesh and bones being crushed, and he felt like there were countless large mountains crashing down on top of him. Wang Lin's legs remained straight as the ground beneath him collapsed. His legs sunk deep into the ground until he was knee-deep. The pressure from the Heaven's Might directly entered his soul. It was as if there was an incomparably majestic voice roaring inside his soul. Wang Lin struggled to raise his head. He looked at the sky and didn't say a word. Not only were the 5 old men not unwell under this Heaven's Might, but they all began laughing like crazy. Each of them managed to fly up and float in the sky under this pressure. Comfortable. No wonder the ancestors said that this Heaven's Might is dog fart. This pressure is comfortable enough to make me want to curse. Bullshit. When did the ancestors say anything like that? They clearly said that the Heaven's Tao was like a naughty girl. If you don't want it to be pressing on top of you, then you just have to push her down and press on top of her. Both of you are speaking nonsense. I have read the records left by the ancestors hundreds of times. How come I never read anything like that? The 5 old men began to quarrel with each other. The Heaven's Might became even angrier, and the red cloud descended 8 more inches. The earth roared, and the entire ground of the imperial city was crushed. Although the shockwave wasn't able to spread on the surface, it spread underground as if there were dragons moving beneath the surface. And this affected almost half of Sky Demon City. The 5 old men suddenly stopped talking. It was as if their bodies had been hit by an invisible hand and swatted to the ground. Wang Lin was at the center of the Heaven's Might. Crunching sounds came from his body, and he sank down even more. This time, less than half of his body was still above the ground. The 5 old men immediately got up, pointed at the sky, and began cursing. I am the descendant of the ancient demon, which is outside of the laws of the heavens. You are merely a divine retribution and are worth shit. As the 5 of them cursed, they flew up into the sky once more. This time demonic spiritual energy surged out from their bodies. Thick demonic spiritual energy covered the entire Sky Demon City as the 5 of them flew straight at the red clouds. The Heaven's Might shook and the red cloud descended once more. This time, it descended 10 feet. At this moment, it was as if a giant hand had slammed down on Sky Demon City, as all of it turned to dust in an instant. Countless cracks appeared on the ground along with the loud rumbling. These cracks were very large, and in the blink of an eye, the earth below Sky Demon City was torn asunder. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood, and sounds of things collapsing came from his body. Right now he was completely buried underground, leaving only a deep hole on the ground. The 5 old men that were charging at the red cloud all fell to the ground once more, leaving behind 5 deep holes on the ground. One of the old men in the holes was furious. He climbed out and angrily shouted, "Divine retribution, you ass! You destroyed my Sky Demon City, so I'll fight you to the death." At this moment, Wang Lin could no longer feel anything on the outside. At this moment, he was underground and had lost all feeling in his body. Right now his meridians were broken, and there were signs of his bones shattering into dust. If one doesn't give in when the heavens wants to kill them, there is no path to survival. Wang Lin's eyes were wide open. Even until now, his eyes were still filled with an unyielding aura. His body could be crushed, and his origin soul could collapse, but his Tao heart will never compromise. As long as there are cultivators that want to defy the heavens and cultivate, they will do everything to avoid the heavens' punishment. A faint voice suddenly echoed inside Wang Lin's mind. The heavens' Tao isn't afraid of cultivators hiding, because once they hide, then their heart no longer contains the meaning of defying. What the heaven's Tao is really afraid of is those who choose not to avoid but to face it. For those creatures, the heavens will do everything it can to erase them. You aren't the first one, and you won't be the last. When others face ascendant, they either follow the heavens' Tao or avoid it, so divine retribution doesn't arrive. Yet you chose to face it, and that caused the divine retribution to descend. The heavens' Tao won't allow a third type of heaven-defying cultivation countless years ago. When the universe first formed, there was a race that was as old as the heavens Tao. The members of that race had a lot of power. They used that power to form their Tao, and they used that Tao to fight the heavens. Some had amazing spells. With a turn of their hand, they could destroy Tao and use the spells to fight against the heavens. There were also those that walked the path of slaughter. They lived in slaughter and used death to fight against the heavens. They called themselves the Ancient Order. Divine retribution wasn't able to destroy their bodies, and the heavens might wasn't able to make them yield. They became the first life forms that cultivated while defying the heavens. After countless years, the Ancient Order split apart. Those with extreme power called themselves ancient gods. Those that walked the path of slaughter called themselves ancient devils. Those that controlled powerful spells called themselves ancient demons. They were the second life forms that cultivated while defying the heavens. A faint voice echoed inside Wang Lin's mind. Although Wang Lin's body had already collapsed, his mind was completely calm. Are you an ancient demon? I am an ancient demon, Wang Lin pondered. However, I am incomplete. When I awakened, I was within the demon drum. I can feel that the demon drum used to belong to me. For countless years, I couldn't move too far from the demon drum, so I used spells to create the dragon lake and taught the people. I can feel that in this demon spirit land, there are 8 other existences like me in the other countries. They all chose the same method as me. They created something similar to the Dragon Lake and began educating the people. I have communicated with those existences similar to mine in these countless years, but we can never come to a unified decision. Every existence like me wanted to devour the other to make themselves stronger. Perhaps that is the only way for us to be complete. That is why the war between the 9 countries continued for countless years in the demon spirit land. The appearance of you cultivators tips the scale of this never-ending war. This is why you cultivators are allowed to exist in the demon spirit land. Wang Lin sent out a divine sense message. You must have a reason for appearing and telling me all of this. That is right. I can help you repair your body and help you get through this divine retribution. I can also give you power in the sky demon country, but you have to do something for me. You have to retrieve the 8 holy relics of the other 8 countries. Wang Lin pondered. Shortly after, he slowly said, I can be the only heaven-defying cultivator in the countless years the demon spirit land has existed. Wang Lin didn't get to finish speaking when that voice interrupted him with a sigh and slowly said, You aren't the first heaven-defying cultivator, but you are the first mortal to cultivate the path of the ancient god. I can feel the aura of an ancient god. This aura is very faint, but it is very pure. The people of the demon spirit land that were given enlightenment by me can withstand my power. Their bodies aren't able to withstand my power no matter what. Even if they are strong, it doesn't matter because I am of a different race. Although cultivators' bodies are slightly better than the bodies of the people here, they still have their limits. Very few people can withstand my power. You are more suitable than anyone else. That is the reason I chose you. Wang Lin pondered for a long time before he calmly said, Repair my body and give me the power to resist the divine retribution. The voice echoed, As you wish. At this instant, Wang Lin's body, which was deep underground, was immediately surrounded by a vast power. His body recovered at a crazy speed visible to the naked eye. His meridians reconnected and were now even tougher than before. His bones recondensed and completely recovered. In fact, their strength was several times more powerful than before. His flesh and blood recovered in an instant. All of this happened in an extremely short period of time. Celestial spiritual energy moved along Wang Lin's meridians and traveled through his whole body. At the same time, that vast power surrounding his body suddenly shrank and entered his body. On the surface, the 5 old men had just climbed out of their deep holes and were just about to curse once more. However, just at this moment, the 5 of them were startled and all stared at the hole Wang Lin was in. One of the old men's eyes widened and he muttered to himself, Is this the Ancestor's aura? It seems to be the Ancestor's aura. As Wang Lin's body floated out from the hole, his hair moved without any wind and his eyes were closed. But an unimaginable amount of demonic spiritual energy was spreading out from his body. Wang Lin's body floated into the air under the pressure of the heaven's might. It was as if at this moment, the pressure had no effect on Wang Lin at all. As Wang Lin ascended into the sky, the demonic spiritual energy coming from his body condensed behind him and formed a giant illusion more than 1,000 feet tall. This illusion had 2 horns, gave off a dark aura, and had dark purple skin. The moment it appeared, the red cloud released bursts of fierce roars and thunderous rumbles. It was as if a demon had been born. Mid-month already, brothers. Do you have likes for the VIDE already? Don't hold back, wishing for those likes. Chapter 598, Ascendant Crystal. This illusion was the same as Wang Lin. Its eyes were closed. As Wang Lin floated into the air, the 5 old men were completely stunned. They looked at the phantom behind Wang Lin and revealed very respectful expressions. It really is the ancestor. The ancestor has appeared. Could this person be the one the ancestor has been searching for all this time? The 5 of them looked at each other. At this moment, the red cloud began to descend like crazy. It no longer moved by inches, and instead by tens of feet. 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet in the blink of an eye. It pressed down 100 feet. Along with a series of rumbling sounds, not only did the entire Sky Demon City collapse, it now sank deep into the ground. Looking from above, Sky Demon City no longer existed. Dust couldn't even be kicked up because it was being pressed directly into the ground. A huge basin appeared where Sky Demon City was. It didn't end here. Countless cracks extended from the basin. Following the sounds of ground cracking, the basin continued to increase in depth. The descent of the red cloud and heavens didn't end just yet. After the red cloud descended 100 feet, it didn't stop and continued to descend. From far away, this mass of red clouds looked like it could fall from the sky at any moment. As the red cloud continued to descend, bursts of thunder echoed through the sky. This fierce sound echoed around the world. The cracks on the ground spread like crazy. Following the sounds of cracking, the ground within 5 kilometers, 50 kilometers, 500 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers shattered into pieces. The shattered earth was immediately crushed into dust by the pressure. The bustling Sky Demon City was no longer there. Wang Lin floated in the air and was the center of the pressure from the heavens' might. His body remained motionless, as if he had fallen asleep. Just at this moment, it was as if Wang Lin had awakened from his slumber. He suddenly opened his eyes, and as he did so, the ancient demon phantom behind him also opened its demonic eyes. At this moment, there seemed to be some mysterious power controlling his body. He slowly raised his right hand and pressed it against the red clouds. The ancient demon behind him also raised its giant right hand and pressed it toward the sky. If you looked clearly, it was not Wang Lin who moved first, but the ancient demon who raised its right hand first. Tao destruction! The ancient demon and Wang Lin both opened their mouths, but the voice came from Wang Lin's mouth. Although those 2 words were light, at the moment they were said, a monstrous demonic energy burst forth from Wang Lin and the ancient demon. At the same time, Wang Lin's body charged at the red cloud in the sky like a sharp sword. The ancient demon behind him followed suit. The thunder from the red cloud was like the angry roar of the heavens. The red cloud continued to descend, and the distance between Wang Lin and the red cloud grew smaller and smaller. 1 palm. Clouds shattered. When the palm from the ancient demon and the palm from Wang Lin landed on the red cloud, a powerful gust of wind suddenly appeared. The red cloud was like the raging sea, as its angry roar echoed through the sky. Wang Lin's body suddenly descended from the sky until he landed on the ground. At the moment he landed, a huge fluctuation was sent out, and the 5,000 kilometers of shattered earth extended to 50,000 kilometers. The earth within 50,000 kilometers shattered. The ancient demon behind Wang Lin also landed on the ground the moment Wang Lin landed. However, its body seemed to have become a little blurry. The heavens' might was irreversible, and the ancient demons were the second kind of life form to defy the heavens and cultivate. They had faced divine retribution countless times, and their bodies recovered in an instant. The red cloud disappeared from the sky, but at the moment it disappeared, a ray of red light 100 feet long suddenly descended from the sky. This red light was far stronger than the divine retribution lightning from before. It was not even on the same level. However, the red light's target wasn't Wang Lin, but the ancient demon phantom behind him. The ancient demon and Wang Lin both raised their heads, and a demonic light suddenly burst out from the ancient demon's eyes. The scarlet heavenly light. It has been a long time since I savored its flavor. At the moment the red light descended, the ancient demon leaped into the air and devoured the red light. The red light entered the ancient demon's body and caused it to explode, but it quickly reformed itself. Collapse, reform, collapse, reform, collapse, and then reform. In just one short breath of time, The ancient demon collapsed 10,000 times and reformed 10,000 times. The body ancient demon's large body was forced from floating in the air back onto the ground. Then a huge circular shockwave began to spread with it as the center. The shockwave was over 100 feet tall and spread like a huge wave scouring the land. In an instant, it spread 5 kilometers and was still going. A series of rumbles echoed across the land as the ground within 5 kilometers shattered once more, creating a shockwave 10 times bigger. At this moment, everything within 50 kilometers was turned inside out and left in ruins. The red cloud had disappeared completely from the sky and returned to normal. The ancient demon let out a burp, then its eyes revealed exhaustion as it turned into green smoke and disappeared. Come meet me at the Dragon Lake in 3 months. The ancient demon's voice wasn't sent to Wang Lin's ears, but spread out to everyone. When the ancient demon disappeared, Wang Lin took a step forward and also disappeared. As the gentle breeze blew by, the 5 old men climbed out from the ruins and looked at each other. One of the old men shouted, "This damn divine retribution. Yundun, you brat, get over here! Yundun, get your ass over here!" If you don't appear within 3 breaths of time, this old man will throw you inside the Dragon Lake and seal you there for 100 years. Once this old man began shouting, they all started shouting at the top of their lungs, releasing thunderous roars. A shadow quickly climbed out from the ruins. When that shadow heard the old men shouting, he let out a wry smile before disappearing and reappearing on the square of the imperial city. The man quickly said, "Grandson Yundun greets 5 grandfather ancestors." This was the same young man that drank all night with Wang Lin. "You bastard, Sky Demon City is now gone. I give you 3 months of time to restore this place back to its original state. Or else I'll throw you into the Dragon Lake and seal you there for 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, 1,000 years. The final old man softly snorted, "Lock him up for life." The young man's body trembled. Then he wryly smiled and nodded. 5 ancestors can rest assured. Your grandson will definitely restore the ancient demon city in 3 months. Go find the person the ancestor has chosen and bring him to the Dragon Lake in 3 months. After the 5 old men finished speaking, they looked at the ruins and then disappeared. When Wang Lin reappeared, he was more than 5,000 kilometers away. He immediately spread out his divine sense before taking a deep breath, touching his bag of holding, and taking out a token. This token was used to enter that mysterious cave. With this object, he could enter the cave anytime he wanted. Wang Lin created symbols according to the information left in the token. Then the token released a white light that surrounded Wang Lin, and then he disappeared. He once more returned to the platforms connected by the revered dragons. As soon as he appeared, he rushed toward the cave. After the divine retribution was over, Wang Lin immediately noticed that his domain had reached its completion and was slowly fusing with his celestial spiritual energy. This discovery immediately shocked him. Ascendant's life and death trial. If there was one mistake, not only would all of his cultivation be wasted, his origin soul would collapse too. Although he didn't know if this would affect the ancient god body on the outside, he wasn't willing to risk it. Ascendant is a trial that must be completed at a very safe place to remove all external factors to ensure the greatest chance of success. This cave was undoubtedly the best place to reach the Ascendant stage. Wang Lin moved very fast as he passed by the platforms one by one before finally arriving outside the cave. In a flash, he stepped into the familiar cave. Wang Lin rushed directly at the pavilion where he found the wine jug. After arriving, he quickly sat down in the lotus position and took a deep breath before slapping his bag of holding. There weren't many celestial jades left in his bag. After all, he had used a lot of celestial jades against the divine retribution. Wang Lin shook the bag of holding, and all of the celestial jades immediately flew out. The pavilion's floor was covered with celestial jades, forming a small mountain. A large amount of celestial jades spread out. Then Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he took out something from his bag of holding. This was a red crystal the size of a fingernail. The moment this crystal appeared, even the surrounding celestial spiritual energy paused. It was as if time had stopped for a moment, and this crystal gave off a faint feeling of the heaven's might. Ascendant Crystal. This was gifted to me by Senior Zhou Yi. If I succeed in reaching the Ascendant stage today, I'll never forget my debt to Senior in my life. Wang Lin took a deep breath and then swallowed the crystal in his hand. After doing all of this, he closed his eyes and immersed himself in the process of reaching the ascendant stage as his domain and celestial spiritual energy fused. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin's expression was still as calm as well water without any ripples. The surrounding celestial jades were consumed and turned to dust. He absorbed endless amounts of celestial spiritual energy into his body. When someone attempts to reach the ascendant stage, an ascendant crystal forms in their origin soul. It is like a heart, the heart of the origin soul. Zhou Yi's ascendant crystal was a second heart for Wang Lin. Just as Wang Lin was reaching the ascendant stage, Sky Demon City began its quick recovery. A large amount of demon soldiers gathered from all over the Sky Demon country to rebuild Sky Demon City. In the black tower at the ancient battlefield that was an unknown distance away, two ghostly lights appeared in the helmet of the black armor that was at the top of the tower. Even the ancient demon appeared to help you withstand the divine retribution just absorbing you. Like this is a pity, but after missing this chance, I don't know how long I'll have to wait. Although the power of ascendant isn't too much, I can let it go. Mid-month and it's been forgotten. Hoping for the like button for the video, tears start to flow. Is there still time? You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 599 Early Stage Ascendant. The fusion of the domain and celestial spiritual energy is a burning process. The celestial spiritual energy is the fuel, and the domain refined by that flame turns into an ascendant crystal. At the moment the ascendant crystal is formed, you might feel like you have become nothing, and your soul is wandering the heavens and earth. This feeling is extremely rare, and it is called ascendant enlightenment. Normally, the first thing cultivators on a cultivation planet do is use this moment of comprehension to pull their soul piece back from the cultivation planet crystal. Although the chance is only 50%, they must try. Wang Lin had already recovered his soul piece, so he obviously didn't need to do this. At this moment, all of the celestial jades in his bag had already been placed around him. The last bit of celestial spiritual energy had just been squeezed out from the jade before they turned to dust. There was no wind here, so the dust wasn't blown away and instead just gathered on the ground. A large amount of celestial spiritual energy entered Wang Lin's body through his pores and rapidly moved through his meridians. Then the celestial spiritual energy quickly gathered around his life and death domain in his origin soul. A self-refining process continued in Wang Lin's body. There was a firestorm raging inside Wang Lin as his body underwent earth-shattering changes. His origin soul was like a giant cocoon. His domain was the life inside the cocoon, and the celestial spiritual energy was the raging fire outside the cocoon. The stronger the flames, the more lively the cocoon became, and the more the domain inside fused with the cocoon. The purpose of the fusion between the celestial spiritual energy and the domain was to eventually fuse the domain with the origin soul. From that point on, there would be no distinction between the domain and origin soul. The origin soul was the domain, and the domain was the origin soul. The fire burned even stronger outside the cocoon. Whenever the flame seemed to weaken, even more celestial spiritual energy would surge in from the outside. It was like adding dry gas to a flame, causing it to burn even stronger. This celestial flame burned brightly inside Wang Lin's body. The flame was invisible and therefore not visible to the naked eye. However, if one were to use their divine sense, they would see the scene of Wang Lin emitting an amazing flame from his body. Seek Tao in the morning and die by night is something every ascendant cultivator knows, and it has a lot to do with this flame. If one can get past this trial, then this flame will go from ethereal to real and will burn the origin soul and body to dust in an instant. The origin cocoon inside the flame became even more alive, and the life and death scroll inside the cocoon was also changing. It seemed like it was about to melt and fuse with the cocoon. Time slowly passed, and the celestial flame didn't weaken at all. As more and more celestial spiritual energy was injected into the flame, it burned even brighter. The domain inside the cocoon completely melted into a mass of chaotic energy. This energy was called origin energy in ancient times. During ancient times, there were no cultivators, The cultivators back then called themselves energy refiners. The powerful Kunlu energy refiners were the typical example of ancient cultivators. They called themselves energy refiners because of the energy in origin energy, and because their cultivation was focused on origin energy. This strand of origin energy was formed from Wang Lin's domain. The origin energy was being nourished by the cocoon, and like a baby still in the mother's womb, the origin energy continued to grow stronger. In ancient times, this origin energy wouldn't be left inside the origin soul. Instead, it would be extracted and would replace all of the celestial spiritual energy in the body. However, after the celestial realm suddenly appeared out of the void, cultivators became celestials and sought immortality, so they started using this origin energy as their life energy. They surrounded themselves with celestial spiritual energy, and that was how some cultivators and celestials wouldn't die as long as they had a sliver of true energy left. That sliver of true energy was this origin energy. The invisible flame inside Wang Lin became even more intense. The origin energy inside the origin soul cocoon condensed until it turned into a liquid-like substance. It was crystal clear and took various shapes. However, this liquid couldn't crystallize. If it couldn't crystallize, then it couldn't form the ascendant crystal. Wang Lin's conscience was wide awake. After trying many times and failing, he took a deep breath. At this moment, the celestial jades around his body exploded, releasing all of their celestial spiritual energy. The celestial spiritual energy moved like smoke as it all rapidly entered Wang Lin's body through his nose. The moment the last of the celestial spiritual energy from the celestial jades entered Wang Lin's body, the invisible flame burned several times stronger than before. In an instant, it was as if there were celestial flames coming out of Wang Lin's mouth and nose. A large amount of sweat began to come out from his body, but at the moment the sweat appeared, it would evaporate into white gas. The white gas above Wang Lin's head gradually grew more dense. The celestial flame in Wang Lin's body burned like it never burned before as it rushed at the origin soul cocoon. The origin energy liquid finally began to show signs of crystallizing after being refined by this flame. At the moment it was about to crystallize, it suddenly trembled. This tremble was completely silent, but it immediately caused the origin soul cocoon to move. The movement of the origin soul immediately caused the celestial flame to change. Instead of refining, it began to spread. The invisible flame in Wang Lin's body began to turn into real flame, and he was about to fail his attempt at reaching the ascendant stage. But just at this moment, the ascendant crystal that Zhou Yi gifted him, which he devoured earlier, came out from his dantian and fused with the celestial flame. Not only could the celestial flame not affect it at all, but when it got close, the celestial flame dimmed as if this object could extinguish it. Zhou Yi's ascendant crystal arrived next to the origin soul cocoon and entered it without any obstruction. It appeared next to Wang Lin's ascendant crystal. The two ascendant crystals, one representing life and death, while the other represented obsession. Zhou Yi's ascendant crystal circled Wang Lin's ascendant crystal once before collapsing. At the moment it collapsed, all of the origin crystals inside it were absorbed by Wang Lin's ascendant crystal. Wang Lin's ascendant crystal grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. It grew like crazy from the initial fingernail size until it was the size of his pinky. At this moment, the origin soul cocoon no longer moved and the celestial flame stopped becoming real. Although all of this seems very simple, that was a moment of life and death. After absorbing the origin energy from Zhou Yi's ascendant crystal, Wang Lin's ascendant crystal took shape. At that moment, the origin soul cocoon quickly shrank. It was now wrapped around the ascendant crystal. A new aura was slowly forming inside the origin soul cocoon. This process lasted for a very long time. Wang Lin sat in the lotus position inside that cave. He was motionless. It was as if he had always been there. On the outside, time quickly passed by. In the Sky Demon country, Sky Demon City had already been rebuilt 10 years ago. Its size and scope was the same as it was before. The Imperial Palace still stood, and the large square was back too. The giant demon drum was still on the square. 10 years of time flashed by in an instant. The residents of Sky Demon City dodged the catastrophe 10 years ago, but what they saw would be something they would never forget in their lives. The rumor of a cultivator named Wang Lin was still spreading across Sky Demon City. The boat was no longer there, and even the people from the boat were gone. There was no longer anyone playing the zither. The young man that once drank with Wang Lin was currently standing above a pavilion in the imperial palace. Beside him was a girl. She was very beautiful, but there was a mischievous expression on her face. If Shu Liguo were here and he saw the girl, he would be drooling and would then pounce at her while shouting, "Little beauty, your big brother Shu is back." That young man let out a sigh and muttered, "Strange. It has been 10 years since that little guy disappeared." Even with the 5 ancestors working together to check with their divine senses, they can find a trace of him. It is as if he left this demon spirit land. The capital of Sky Demon City. After the city was rebuilt, there was a very glorious mansion built on the east side. This mansion had a giant plague with 6 large characters. Earth Vice Commander-in-Chief's mansion. There were countless servants inside the mansion, and there were fake mountains everywhere, making it very elegant. A burly man wearing a commander-in-chief robe was standing next to one of the fake mountains in the yard. He looked up into the sky and let out a sigh. Behind the burly man stood 3 men. These 3 men were all wearing the armor of demon generals, and they all stood there motionlessly and had very respectful attitudes. "Brother Wang, where did you go?" The burly man let out a long sigh. Inside the cave, Wang Lin hadn't moved at all in these 10 years. He still sat there as if he was a statue. In his body, the refining inside the origin soul cocoon slowly ended, and a shocking aura slowly spread out from the cocoon. After an unknown amount of time, a crack suddenly appeared on the origin soul cocoon. This crack was very thin, and the cocoon gently split. Shortly after, another crack appeared, and soon more cracks appeared across the cocoon. Even more cracks appeared all over the cocoon until it finally shattered. The moment it shattered, rays of gray light came out from within. Then a newly born origin soul slowly floated out from the cocoon. This origin soul was no longer transparent but completely solid. There was almost no difference between it and the flesh. The ascendant crystal was slowly turning inside the origin soul. For an ascendant cultivator, their origin soul is their domain. This is the true state of a domain after it enters the body. After the origin soul flew out, the shattered cocoon immediately melted into nourishment specifically for the origin soul, and was absorbed by the origin soul. Once all of it was absorbed, the origin soul sat down in the lotus position. At the moment his origin soul sat down, Wang Lin's body trembled, and for the first time in 10 years, he opened his eyes. Wang Lin muttered to himself, "Ascendant," then his eyes lit up brighter than ever before. After 700 years of cultivation, he finally achieved the ascendant stage. Ascendant cultivators were top-tier existences in any rank cultivation countries. Even in rank cultivation countries, ascendant cultivators were still considered powerhouses. Wang Lin was in ascendant enlightenment for 10 years and had other harvests as well. Mid-month, and the hope for likes on the video has slipped by 2 days already? Tears streaming. Is there any hope left? Chapter 5, The Return. In the end, none of the 11 youths passed the test. There was one young girl who made it as far as Wang Lin. On that day, all of the youths that failed the test were sent back to the bottom of the mountain. The Xianxia sect disciples took them home one by one. The one that came to take Wang Lin home was the same youth that had picked him up. Behind him was Wang Zhuo and Wang Hao. The youth clasped his hands and said, "Brother Wang Zhuo, congratulations on becoming Uncle Master S disciple. You have a bright future ahead of you." Wang Zhuo's face showed an arrogant expression. He proudly said, "It is only natural. Master said that after I have finished taking care of the mundane affairs at home, he will teach me cultivator techniques after I return." Wang Hao raised his head and added on the side, "I have always looked down on your arrogant demeanor. So what if you have a master? I will be able to learn how to produce immortal pills." Wang Zhuo gave Wang Hao a hard stare. Then he shifted his gaze to Wang Lin, who silently stood there. He smiled and said, "Taizhu, how was it? I told you before that you didn't have the ability, but both you and your father wouldn't believe it. Now we know the result." Taizhu raised his head, glanced slightly at Wang Zhuo, and said, "Sir, my parents are waiting for me at home. Please take me back as soon as possible." Wang Zhuo saw Wang Lin dare to ignore him and sneered, "Little bumpkin, you are better off becoming a carpenter in a little village for the rest of your life, like your father." The immortal youth let out a faint smile as he looked at the 3 youths in front of him, but didn't say a single word. He waved his sleeves and brought the three along as they disappeared from the Hangyu Sek Mountain. Comparing this flight to last one, Wang Lin's mood was like heaven and earth. Before, he was full of hope, but now, he was full of despair. A little while later, the Wang clan's house came into view. Wang Lin opened his eyes. He could see from afar the clan house that was lit up in celebration with a lively atmosphere. There were far more banquet tables than when his father had organized the feast at the village. They covered almost the whole yard. All the Wang family members were there. Even those who were away buying lumber had come back. The celebration was in full swing, full of drinking and chatter. The lead of the banquet was Wang Tianshui's older brother, Wang Tianshui, and Wang Tianshui's third brother. All the relatives surrounded the three of them to give them their congratulation. The scene was very festive. Their eyes were filled with envy, but their mouths were full of flattery, especially towards Wang Lin's father, who couldn't help but remember the sadness from his past. Wang Lin's sixth uncle exclaimed, "Second brother, this time your son will be selected for sure. After this you don't have to be a carpenter anymore. Anyone who sees you will have no choice but to call you elder." Wang Tianshui's fifth uncle said, "Lao back in the days I already knew your life wouldn't be normal. You devoted your life to Taizhu. Now that he is going to be an immortal, you as his father must be extraordinary. Second brother, this time both your kid Taizhu and my son will be selected. U.S. brothers Haven T met each other in 10 years. This time, we must have a drink together, no matter what," said Wang Hao's father, as he brought over glasses of wine. He was also Wang Tianshui's third brother. Taiju's father looked at all the relatives that used to look down on him. All the sorrow from his past was swept away. However, he couldn't help but feel a giant rock weighing down his heart. "Taiju, you must be selected. Second sister-in-law, this time your marriage to second brother has brought you good fortune. Having Taiju as your child, who in the neighboring area want to know you? Second sister-in-law, your kid Taiju has more ability than my child. Ever since Taiju was little, he has been very smart. Taiju's mother, even though we are of the same family, there are many consanguine relatives who have married nowadays. My daughter is unmarried, and is about the same age as Taiju. Taiju is handsome and I like him. Why don't we tie the knot between our families?" Like Taiju's father, his mother was surrounded by a group of female relatives who were enthusiastically chattering beside her. Wang Zhao's father held an indifferent look the whole time. He secretly desired for the immortal to come and deliver the news that Taiju had not been selected, so he could see his second brother's reaction to it. As he thought of this, he let out a laugh and toasted the relative next to him that was praising his child. The scene was bustling and full of spirit. At that moment, a sword of light appeared and landed in the courtyard. 4 people came with it. The area immediately quieted down. No member of the Wang family dared to say a word. The Hangyu sect disciple swept across the area and secretly sighed. He remembered when he was selected as a Hangyu sect disciple. His hometown was celebrating like this as well. He suddenly gave Wang Lin a look of pity. He knew that the thing that this youth was about to experience wasn't something a youth could handle. He has a ruthless path ahead of him. The disciple shook his head and left in a sword of light. Immortal practitioners can have any earthly desires. Take care of what you need to. I'll come pick you up in 3 days. His voice echoed from the distance. When Wang Zhuo's father saw the immortal leave, he quickly rushed up to his son and asked, "Did Immortal Hui Bing take you as his disciple?" Wang Zhuo said, with a face full of pride and arrogance, "Naturally. Master has said that in 10 years I'll be able to become the head of Hengyu's sect disciples." Wang Zhuo's father was overjoyed. He patted his son heavily on the shoulders and laughed. "Good, Wang Zhuo, you will be an immortal in the future. Our Wang family will have an immortal." Wang Hao's father's face also had an anxious expression while staring at Wang Hao. When he was about to ask, Wang Hao let out a sigh and said, "Dad, you don't have to ask. Your son is already a Hangyu sect disciple." Wang Hao's father was ecstatic. He picked up his cup and fiercely drank. Wang Zhuo had a disgusted look on his face. He said contemptuously, "Third uncle, you gave birth to a good son. He has lost the Wang family a lot of face. In front of everyone he flattered the immortal, and then, only relying on a bribe, was he able to become a helper." Wang Hao raised his brow and said, "I am happy. So what? In the future, let us see who has stronger cultivator techniques, then we will see who has lost the family face. Taiju's father saw the depressed expression his son wore, causing his body to shudder. He had an ominous feeling. Taiju, what about you? Taiju's mother asked, full of expectation. It's the middle of the month, wishing Leo's video gets plenty of likes. Remember to like and share Leo's video, okay? And don't forget to leave your thoughts about the video. Chapter 59, Questioning. Lu Yunji shivered. He forced a smile and said, Wang, brother Wang, do you need something? If you need some spiritual energy gathering pills, I still have a lot left and can give some to you. Third brother, there's something I want from you. Your helper, Wang Hao. Wang Lin stared at Lu Yunji. Before, he was not confident enough to go against Lu Yunji, so he didn't help Wang Hao. But after this battle, he had a much better understanding of his own power. Lu Yunji's expression became unsettled. He bitterly laughed in his heart. He clenched his teeth and said, Wang Lin, that Wang Hao is my helper and is very important to my pill creation, so I can agree. Wang Long stood at the side, very puzzled, and shouted, Lu Yunji, it's only a helper. How important can he be? Lu Yunji's face was very bitter. He decided to bite the bullet and said, Sect head, disciple can obey. Wang Hao has already. Wang Lin's expression quickly changed. He moved like lightning toward the Hengyu Peak. Wang Long and the other elders were all confused and followed behind. Dao Shu grabbed Lu Yunji as he followed Wang Lin. Soon, Wang Lin arrived above the pill house in the main courtyard. He scanned the area with his divine sense and quickly found Wang Hao's weak life force in the back room. The moment he entered the room, his anger reached its limit. In the large room was a giant pill furnace with Wang Hao sitting cross-legged inside. His life force was growing weaker and weaker. Wang Lin didn't even blink. He moved his hand and sent out his attraction technique to grab Wang Hao. As the hand formed by the technique came closer to the pill furnace, a rainbow-colored light came out from the furnace and collided with the hand. Wang Lin coldly snorted. Immediately, the power of the attraction technique reached its peak and broke the rainbow-colored light. Wang Lin gently grabbed Wang Hao and placed him on the ground. He placed his right hand on Wang Hao's forehead and remained silent. At that moment, Huang Long and the other elders arrived as well. The red-faced elder looked at the pill furnace, then at Wang Hao. His expression suddenly changed and he shouted, Fire furnace trail! Dao Shu carefully looked at Lu Yunji, who was in his hand. He threw him on the ground and said, Lu Yunji, you sure have guts? Although this fire furnace trial isn't banned, you can only use it on people outside the sect and never on anyone inside. Did you forget? Lu Yunji's face was completely pale. He kneeled on the ground and whispered, Disciple came, joined the sect, and became your disciple at age 15. It has been 25 years and Disciple is still stuck at the TH layer. Disciple is unwilling to give up. Once this fire furnace trial is complete, the pill can not only extend my life, but will also give me a chance to break through, so I had to try, no matter what. This Wang Hao is my personal helper. According to the sect rules, I can do whatever I wish, and he is not part of the sect, so I have done nothing wrong. Wang Lin opened his eyes. Before, Wang Hao's life was in critical condition, but after he sent spiritual energy into Wang Hao's body, he was able to save Wang Hao's life. After he heard Lu Yunji's words, he let out a few snorts. Huang Long frowned. On one side was the genius Wang Lin, and on the other side was a faithful disciple of 25 years, Lu Yunji. He found this decision very hard to make. After pondering for a while, he made a decision and said to Dao Shu, Junior brother Dao Shu, you are in charge of disciplinary actions. How do you want to deal with Lu Yunji? The moment Dao Shu heard this, he immediately understood sect head's decision and said, Lu Yunji will go into seclusion for 20 years. Wang Long nodded and turned to Wang Lin. He kindly said, Wang Lin, from now on this Wang Hao will become an inner disciple. Consider it making it up to him. From now on you can go look for Lu Yunji for trouble anymore. After all, you are all in the same sect. Wang Lin glanced at Lu Yunji and said, Disciple obeys. Wang Long waved his sleeves and said, Okay, since the thing is resolved, Dao Shu, you deal with the matter here, including Wang Hao's retreatment. Wang Lin, you follow me. With that, he walked out of the room and then floated into the air. Dao Shu looked at Wang Lin and smiled, Disciple nephew Wang Lin, Don't worry and leave Wang Hao to me. As long as he is still alive, I'll find a way for him to recover. Wang Lin slightly nodded. After taking a look at Wang Hao, whose face had recovered a little, he left the pill house and followed Huang Long. Wang Lin had been thinking this whole time. He understood fully well why sect head Huang Long wanted to talk to him alone. Before long, Huang Long brought Wang Lin into the main hall. Then he suddenly shouted, "Wang Lin, you sure have guts!" Wang Lin's expression remained calm and said, "Sect head, if you have something to say, just say it." Huang Long grunted and said, "During that exchange, what technique did you really use?" Wang Lin chuckled and said, "Attraction technique. If sect head doesn't believe me, you can have a closer look." With that, he activated the attraction technique and grabbed all the tables and chairs in the main hall. After making them circle the room a few times, he put them back to where they were. Huang Long carefully examined the technique, then began to ponder. After a long time, he suddenly asked, "Before, you were obviously at the R&D layer, and even now you still look like you are at the R&D layer. How do you have so much power? What level are you at exactly?" "Wang Lin, tell me the truth." Wang Lin's face revealed a bitter expression and said, "Disciple doesn't really understand. I just kept on cultivating and it became like this. As for what level I have reached, disciple doesn't know." Huang Long stared at Wang Lin and said, in a deep voice, "Wang Lin, you still not going to tell me?" Wang Lin wryly smiled and said, "Disciple really doesn't know." Wang Long secretly sighed. He didn't want to pressure Wang Lin too much because no matter what, Wang Lin was still a disciple of the Hung Yue sect, and he had also just done the sect a great service. He will also very likely become a star among the inner disciples. Thinking about it, his expression became friendly and said, "What was in that bottle you gave to the Xuan Dao sect?" Wang Lin chuckled. He waved his right hand and took out 2 small bottles. He handed them to Huang Long and said, "Sect head is talking about this? Sect head should know these better than me. It's just the river water from the back mountain." Mid-month, hoping to get the like button pressed for the video, Chapter 600, Celestial Ascension Fruit. At this moment in the Black Tower located in the ancient battleground, 2 ghostly lights suddenly lit up inside the helmet on the top floor of the tower. He has just reached the ascendant stage, so his origin energy hasn't completely fused with his body yet. It will take him 49 days to complete this process, and this window is something I have waited 10 years for. The ghostly light inside the armor flashed, and then thundering roars came from outside the Black Tower. At this moment, a giant black vortex suddenly appeared in the sky. This vortex was too large. When it spun, it was as if it could absorb everything in the world. The sky changed color, and even the countless souls in the ancient battleground began to tremble. The ghostly light from the tower shined brightly as a powerful divine sense spread out from the tower and quickly covered the entire ancient battleground. The ground at some parts of the battleground loosened, and soon several black bones flew out from underground into the air. These small bones quickly fused in the sky and formed a black bone arm. The black bone arm slowly flew toward the tower and stopped below the vortex. I haven't gathered much power, so I can casually waste it. Also, his current location is one of the places I don't wish to go. The ghostly light from the armor flashed again, and one arm from the armor broke off. It gave off a burst of demonic flame before flying out of the tower and straight toward the bone arm. The moment the armor touched the withered arm, it immediately attached itself to it. The moment the armor was attached, the arm became completely different than before as powerful bursts of demonic spiritual energy filled it. "Go, bring back the origin energy." The arm trembled before disappearing into the vortex. Only ascendant cultivators have origin energy inside their bodies. Too bad I am too seriously injured to pull the origin energy out of cultivators who have already integrated the origin energy into their body from this far away. I can only choose to attack those who just made a breakthrough to steal their origin energy. The ghostly light from the armor that was now missing an arm guard gradually dimmed until it finally went out. Wang Lin was sitting in the lotus position inside the cave. He let out a breath of foul air and stood up. He had been sitting there for 10 years, so there were a lot of popping sounds before his body returned to normal. After he loosened his body, his expression suddenly changed, and he looked up into the ceiling of the celestial cave. At this moment, a black vortex silently appeared. This is Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He had been in this cave for a very long time, and had never seen this vortex before. The timing of this vortex was too good. It appeared right after he reached the ascendant stage. Wang Lin had a cautious nature, so when he saw the vortex appear, he immediately dashed for the gate of the cave. Just as he moved, the vortex suddenly sped up and thus increased its size. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he slapped his bag of holding and without any hesitation took out the cave token. His hand formed a seal, and soon his body became faint and was about to disappear. At this moment, a black bone arm wearing armor came out from the vortex and viciously swiped at Wang Lin. This swipe caused Wang Lin's disappearing figure to tremble, but then he instantly disappeared. The black bone arm paused for a moment before going back into the vortex, and the vortex disappeared. There was a distortion in the sky above an endless plain in the fire demon country, and Wang Lin stepped out of it. His expression was gloomy. Anyone who came across such a strange scene right as they reached the ascendant stage wouldn't feel happy. At the moment he used the token to teleport away, the arm interfered with the teleportation and caused a change. He spread out his divine sense and found that this place was completely foreign to him. Just at this moment, a black dot appeared in the sky. This black dot spun at an unimaginable speed and in almost an instant turned into that giant vortex. The vortex appeared in complete silence. Even divine sense wasn't able to detect its appearance ahead of time. It was as if there was nowhere the vortex didn't exist. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he stared at the vortex. This time he didn't run. He wanted to see how much power that arm inside the vortex had. Almost at the moment the vortex appeared, the armored bone arm came out and reached toward Wang Lin. No wind or clouds moved with this grab. There were no fluctuations showing signs of spells being used. This grab was almost as if a mortal was waving his arm. Wang Lin frowned slightly. Then he raised his right hand and for the first time he used the finger of death at the ascendant stage. The black light was 10 times larger than before and there were rings of ripples inside it. The black light charged out like thunder and landed on the bone arm. At this moment, an astonishing amount of demonic spiritual energy came out from the armor. This demonic spiritual energy was also solid and immediately blocked the finger of death. However, the demonic spiritual energy underestimated Wang Lin's finger of death. Perhaps if Wang Lin wasn't at the ascendant stage, then the finger of death would immediately have shattered when facing this demonic spiritual energy. But now Wang Lin was using ascendant level cultivation to activate the finger of death. Although the black light was stopped, the death energy within couldn't be stopped. At the moment the demonic spiritual energy and death energy collided, the demonic spiritual energy dissipated as if it had been absorbed by the death energy. All of this happened in an instant. Just as Wang Lin sent out the finger of death, he immediately noticed an invisible force coming at him. This force was like a gentle wind, but at the moment it landed on his body, his expression changed greatly. He immediately noticed that his newly formed ascendant origin soul was about to be blown away with this wind-like invisible force. Even his mind wasn't able to resist at all, and even his right hand slowly lowered. His origin soul gradually drifted from his body and was about to leave. But when a sleepy feeling appeared inside his body, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. Because his origin soul was about to leave his body had stiffened and he was rapidly losing consciousness. At this moment, he didn't panic and instead became filled with killing intent. He was Wang Lin. He even dared to defy the heavens. He dared to even kill the heavens, so how could he be bewitched by this mere spell? Wang Lin had a heart of slaughter, and at this moment, his heart of slaughter and his killing intent collided, resulting in a powerful slaughter aura. A low roar came from his mouth, and monstrous slaughter aura came out from his eyes. Under the power of this slaughter aura, his origin soul that was already halfway out of his body was forced back in. After his origin soul returned, Wang Lin coldly looked at the arm. No matter who you are, don't mess with me. Wang Lin took a step back, and at the same time he used several teleport spells at once. In the blink of an eye he disappeared. The bone arm wasn't scary at all. What was scary was that wrist guard. The finger of death Wang Lin used to scout the situation allowed him to see through the wrist guard. There were many mysterious people in the demon spirit land. Wang Lin had just reached the ascendant stage, and he required a few days for his origin soul to completely fuse. So he didn't want to get into too much trouble right now. At the moment Wang Lin left, a soft exclamation came from the black tower in the ancient battleground. No wonder he is a heaven-defying cultivator. he was able to forcibly resist my heavenly demon wind with his heart of slaughter. But the better you perform, the more interested I am in your origin energy. In the demon spirit land, those people that cultivate the way of the ancient demon can T-form origin energy. Origin energy only appears when you cultivators reach the ascendant stage. In these countless years, almost every cultivator who reached the ascendant in this demon spirit land had their origin energy devoured by me. You will be no exception. Wang Lin reappeared after teleporting. This place was a desolate area without any mountains or water. There were only withered trees everywhere. However, his eyes immediately narrowed as he noticed some restrictions in the distance. What the hell was that arm? Wang Lin frowned as he flew toward the restrictions in the distance. Soon he arrived at the place the restrictions were located. This place was even more desolate than the one before. The ground here was filled with cracks due to how dry it was, and there was nothing abnormal about this place. The restrictions protecting this place weren't intricate, but they won in terms of quality. There was no less than 1,000 restrictions here, and they were all interlinked, so activating one of the restrictions meant activating them all. Although it was rough, it was still effective. Even a demon general would find it difficult to enter by force. Even if they could, it would take time to do so. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense. With his cultivation and knowledge of restrictions, these restrictions didn't interest him. He was not interested in what was inside and was about to leave when the black vortex suddenly appeared, causing Wang Lin's eyes to narrow. It's like a ghost haunting me. Wang Lin's eyebrows furrowed hard, and his eyes became even colder. This black vortex kept appearing before him, and this made a hint of killing intent appear inside Wang Lin's heart. He let out a cold snort and quickly sank directly into the countless restrictions. With Wang Lin's understanding of restrictions, he could break restrictions at the same level as the ones inside the celestial cave, so the restrictions before him presented no challenge. With just a glance, countless deductions flashed through his eyes. Then his body quickly disappeared into the restrictions. The function of these restrictions, aside from preventing outsiders from entering, was also to create illusions to hide what was inside. However, Wang Lin had broken countless restrictions, so he was able to easily move through them without activating them. After going through the restrictions, the scene before him became vastly different from what he saw outside. This place was still a plain, but it had been artificially divided into plots of land and emitted a strange fragrance. Eh? Wang Lin was surprised as he wasn't expecting something like this. What was more surprising was there was only one thing being grown here. Celestial Ascension fruit. Wang Lin's expression became a bit strange. At this moment, the surrounding restrictions began to collapse as the black bone forced itself through the countless restrictions and reached in. Welcome everyone to watch. Fans of the narrative chapter express their wishes for praise in the latest installment. May the new chapter receive even more acclaim. Chapter 601 One Drop. The Celestial Ascension fruit isn't a rare fruit. Although it isn't common, it is even possible to get it on planet Suzaku. These fruits are only the size of a baby's fist, and they are completely purple and give off a strange fragrance. If a person were to eat one, they would become excited and feel extreme pleasures. This is why this fruit is called Celestial Ascension fruit. If a mortal were to eat one, they would become addicted, but it wouldn't affect a cultivator much. However, there are cultivators who enjoy eating the fruit and losing themselves in that intoxicating feeling. In the mortal world, only the rich and powerful can get Celestial Ascension fruits from cultivators after paying a heavy price. Then they can immerse themselves in the intoxicating feeling like they have become celestials themselves. Wang Lin looked at the plain. It looked like this plain was endless, and it was filled with Celestial Ascension fruits. But Wang Lin wasn't interested in the fruits. At this moment, the armored bone arm broke through the restrictions and arrived here. Thick demonic spiritual energy was released from the armored bone arm and surrounded the area. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he stared at the arm. Then his right hand touched his bag of holding, and the celestial sword appeared in his hand. Shu Li Guo quickly let out a roar. Ever since his rebellion failed, he had always been very careful. Now that Wang Lin had taken out the celestial sword, he decided that he would definitely achieve some merit today. He has followed Wang Lin for many years and was very familiar with Wang Lin's personality. He thought to himself, as long as I achieve some merits, this fiend won't think about what happened back then. Sword hymns came from the celestial sword. A sword was a proud weapon above all other weapons. However, at this moment, The sword hymn that came out contained a dirty meaning. After the black bone arm appeared, it clawed at Wang Lin once more, and the heavenly demon wind gently blew toward him. Wang Lin was already prepared. His eyes turned cold, and his heart of slaughter appeared. He quickly swung the celestial sword to send out a ray of sword energy, and the celestial sword itself flew out after the sword energy in the form of a sword dragon. Under Shu Liguo's control, the celestial sword swept toward the bone arm in an imposing manner and became entangled in a battle with the arm. The bone arm didn't even seem to care about the celestial sword and reached out to grab the sword. However, at the moment the arm touched the celestial sword, it released violent sizzling sounds like a piece of ice that had just touched hot iron. Shu Liguo began to laugh proudly. He was about to break free and get another hit off at the bone arm. However, thick demonic spiritual energy came out from the wrist guard and entered the celestial sword. Shu Liguo was startled and wanted to break free, but the bone arm was like a pair of metal pliers that had a tight hold on the sword. Wang Lin coldly looked at everything before him. At the moment that thick demonic spiritual energy was released, Wang Lin raised his right index finger and softly said, "Demonic finger!" What was changed this time wasn't his own celestial spiritual energy, but the demonic spiritual energy that was released. Using his ascendant level cultivation, Wang Lin could transform the forces of the heavens and earth. It was different from the death aura that the finger of death gave. This was demonic spiritual energy. At this moment, Wang Lin's right index finger was like a huge vortex, as all of the demonic spiritual energy rushed toward his finger. Soon, a ray of black light appeared at Wang Lin's fingertip. This black light seemed to be able to devour light, and at the moment it appeared, it was surrounded by thick demonic spiritual energy. With a flick of his finger, the black light charged toward the bone arm. Its speed was too quick, so it landed on the bone arm in an instant. After a series of cracking sounds, the bone arm shattered and Shu Liguo quickly moved the sword away. At the moment the bone arm shattered, a symbol flashed on the wrist guard. Then the shattered black bone quickly spread, forming a black halo that was 10,000 feet wide. Demonic spiritual energy filled this 10,000-foot area, creating a prison. Then more symbols appeared on the wrist guard and began to emit the sound of a bell ringing. This sound came from the wrist guard, but it seemed to come from the heavens as it echoed within this 10,000-foot area. All of this happened in an instant. This sound was 100 times stronger than the heavenly demon wind, so the clarity Wang Lin managed to maintain with his slaughter heart immediately showed signs of weakening. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy, and with one step he arrived in the air. His hand formed a seal before turning into a palm that slammed down on the wrist guard. At the moment his palm touched the wrist guard, a monstrous demonic flame burst out from the wrist guard. This demonic flame formed a fist-sized shadow. This shadow had a single horn and was completely black. After it appeared, it revealed a smile of contempt before suddenly opening its mouth and laughing loudly. Wang Lin's origin soul shook, but his eyes became even colder. His right hand didn't stop, and he pressed down on the wrist guard. At this moment, the black shadow from the wrist guard let out another crazy laugh. This time the sound was several times more intense than before. This intense sound wave created sonic booms that echoed between Wang Lin and the wrist guard. The sonic booms were only secondary. The real attack was aimed at his origin soul. Thanks to this demonic laugh, Wang Lin's origin soul began to leave his body once more. And his heart of slaughter was about to collapse. The shadow on the wrist guard revealed a dark grin and laughed like crazy once more. Wang Lin bit the tip of his tongue. Rather than retreating, he charged forward and grabbed the wrist guard. Then the celestial spiritual energy inside his body surged into the wrist guard like crazy. At the moment his celestial spiritual energy entered the wrist guard, the demonic laugh disappeared. However, the black shadow also disappeared and entered Wang Lin's body through his right hand. It then turned into waves of demonic spiritual energy that charged at his origin soul. The demonic dance of confusion. Wang Lin's right hand clutched the wrist guard as he quickly fell from the sky. Then he sat down in the lotus position on the ground. The demonic spiritual energy moved through his meridians and created bursts of illusions that directly shook his origin soul. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a ghostly light as he looked at all the celestial ascension fruits around him. Without any hesitation, he waved his hand and all of the celestial ascension fruits within 10,000 feet flew off the branches and into the sky. There was no less than 10,000 of these fruits. It was as if a small portion of the sky was covered by these purple fruits. At this moment, the demonic spiritual energy inside him was luring his origin soul to fly out of his body. Wang Lin's face was gloomy as he closed his hand. Suddenly, all of the fruits in the sky shattered and their juices were extracted. Then the juices were all gathered together before they were condensed again. In the blink of an eye, the juices of more than 10,000 celestial ascension fruits was condensed into one drop. A drop of blood-red liquid. Looking at this drop of blood-red liquid, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to grab it and throw it into his mouth. At the moment the liquid entered his mouth, Wang Lin's entire body shook. The mysterious feeling of the celestial ascension fruit increased countless fold and exploded inside Wang Lin's mind with a thunderous roar. Under this powerful stimulation, Wang Lin's mind was at its peak level of excitement. He suppressed his excitement and used it as power for his body. At this moment, his origin soul, which was about to be lured out by the demonic spiritual energy, suddenly stopped. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot, and the veins on his head were bulging as if he was enduring great pain. Scram! Wang Lin let out a low roar. This sound was like a thunderous roar that echoed across the land. Then a black shadow was forced out of his body through his right hand. However, this black shadow was extremely stubborn. When it was half forced out, it began to laugh and struggled to re-enter Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's expression was fierce as the mysterious feeling from the celestial ascension fruit filled his body. This gave his body unimaginable power, and while he had to endure pain, it also gave him intense pleasure. The pain and pleasure were both suppressed by him. The suppression of these two feelings created an unimaginable explosive force. Scram! Wang Lin suddenly raised his head in his hand. Then a force exploded from his body, and the black shadow was forced out of his body. At the moment the black shadow was pushed out and sent flying into the air, Wang Lin charged toward it with bloodshot eyes. He grabbed the black shadow, and then the celestial spiritual energy from his body surged out like crazy and entered the black shadow. The black shadow let out a miserable groan as it collapsed. It turned into fine, silky strings as it escaped from Wang Lin's hand before reforming itself 100 feet from Wang Lin and giving Wang Lin a vicious stare. But Wang Lin completely ignored that gaze. At this moment, the feeling from the fruits was about to explode. Still under the fruit's influence, Wang Lin took a step forward and without any hesitation pointed his pinky at the black shadow. Underworld finger. He used his ascendant level cultivation to bring out the underworld finger. The finger pointed at the underworld to activate the domain inside Wang Lin's origin soul. This finger contained the life and death domain. It contained all of Wang Lin's will. This finger reached its peak under the effect of the celestial ascension fruit. This finger caused the world to change colors. This underworld finger was a spell infinitely close to a low-quality celestial spell, so a large portion of the sky began to collapse and shatter. This one finger was life and death. The shadow with a horn revealed a look of disbelief. It let out a scream and wanted to flee, but the finger arrived. The black shadow's body paused and immediately collapsed. An angry roar came from the armor inside the black tower located inside the ancient battleground. Then a powerful will rushed out and merged with the void. After withdrawing that finger, the restriction created by the demonic spiritual energy within 10,000 feet disappeared. Wang Lin's right hand was still gripping the wrist guard. Crazy amounts of demonic spiritual energy came from the wrist guard as it tried to break free, but Wang Lin's right hand held it tightly. He spat out a mouthful of origin energy, and it fell on the wrist guard. Then the origin energy turned into a spider web and sealed the wrist guard. Then he casually put the wrist guard inside his bag of holding. Wang Lin's eyes were still red, as the effect of the celestial ascension fruit wasn't over. An intense battle intent had been born inside Wang Lin's body. This battle intent was extremely powerful, and it was impossible to suppress. Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the celestial sword flew back and landed in his hand. At this moment, Shu Liguo didn't dare to speak, as the current Wang Lin made his heart tremble. Today marks the first watch, longing for the like button for the VIDEO. The VIDEO wants to charge up the trending charts, hoping the veteran supporters lend their firepower. Chapter 602 Crazy Battle Intent. Wang Lin's eyes were completely red as he looked at the ground below him. The amount of celestial ascension fruits he had absorbed was only 1/10 of all the fruits here. He reached out toward the ground with his early-stage ascendant cultivation and caused the ground to tremble. Then countless fruits flew off the trees and went toward him. Nearly 100,000 celestial ascension fruits were stored away inside his bag of holding. At this moment, Wang Lin could no longer suppress the battle and killing intent in his heart. He let out a roar and was about to leave. But just at this moment, a cold snort filled with anger came from the void. It landed directly inside Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin's mind trembled, and then he coughed out a mouthful of blood and fell from the sky. After he landed, his head jerked toward the sky and his eyes revealed powerful killing and battle intent. He couldn't help but be injured. On a normal day, if Wang Lin's mind was injured like that by just a cold snort, he would immediately escape. However, he was different right now, and there was a hint of madness in his eyes. Not only did the injury in his body not decrease his battle intent, it actually made him even more crazy. He slapped his bag of holding and devoured a large amount of pills. With one step, he charged out. Although he was crazy, his consciousness was still there. When the cold snort came, he vaguely felt where it came from and directly charged there. Kill! The only thought in Wang Lin's mind was to kill. The killing intent that was removed when he turned into a mortal exploded once more, thanks to the stimulation of the celestial ascension fruit. The fiend that made the sea of greed and Zhao tremble had awakened. Wang Lin's body moved like a flaming meteor across the sky, and he charged directly at the direction where he vaguely felt that cold snort come from. Another cold snort came from the tower in the ancient battleground. This snort contained disdain and killing intent. The cold snort arrived and landed on Wang Lin, causing him to cough out another large mouthful of blood. His eyes became even more crazy as he slapped his bag of holding and almost 100,000 celestial ascension fruits surrounded him. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin's hand reached out, and the 100,000 fruits all collapsed one by one. The juices condensed and refined until the 100,000 fruits were condensed into just one drop. Wang Lin looked at the demonically red liquid that could cause a person to collapse and swallowed it. The moment he swallowed that demonically red liquid, Wang Lin felt like his body was about to explode, and the speed at which his blood was circulating through his body reached its limit. His battle intent and madness reached an unprecedented degree at this moment. Then he slapped his bag of holding and a wine jug appeared in his hand. This was the wine jug that he got at the cave, and it contained 10 drops of celestial liquid. As soon as he brought out the wine jug, he drank 4 drops. After the celestial liquid entered his body, celestial spiritual energy moved through his meridians like raging thunder. An unimaginable amount of celestial spiritual energy moved inside his body to the point where he might not be able to handle it. If it wasn't for the fact that his meridians were strengthened when he entered the ascendant stage and were refined by the ancient demon, he definitely wouldn't have been able to bear this. Wang Lin seemed to have gone crazy. His hair started flowing in the air, and he charged out like a madman. A ghostly light flashed within the armor inside the black tower, and a divine message echoed out. Could he have gone crazy? If he really comes here and damages the armor I am in, he won't be able to make it here. A ray of killing intent came out from the tower and disappeared into the void. This strand of killing intent suddenly locked onto Wang Lin from within the void. The celestial spiritual energy was surging through Wang Lin's body when the killing intent arrived. His body trembled, but the battle intent in his eyes became even stronger. With a roar, the celestial spiritual energy inside his body seemed to explode, causing his body to move even faster. At this moment, Wang Lin was like a flame. Every time the person inside the black tower tried to extinguish the flame, it would ignite once more. It wasn't that he wasn't injured anymore. On the contrary, he was seriously injured from the continuous attacks from the person inside the black tower. However, due to the celestial ascension fruit, the stimulation in his origin soul was not going to go away anytime soon unless he died. Under this stimulation, no matter how serious his injuries were, he wouldn't care. The celestial spiritual energy surged even faster thanks to the effect of those 4 drops of celestial liquid. At this moment, there was only one thought in Wang Lin's mind, and that was kill. The divine sense inside the tower became even more angry and continued to attack. If it was anyone else, they would have already died, but thanks to the strange cooperation of the celestial ascension fruit and celestial liquid, Wang Lin wasn't dead. Normally his flesh would have died long ago and his origin soul would have collapsed. However, thanks to the effect of the celestial ascension fruit, his origin soul didn't collapse. Thanks to the surge of celestial spiritual energy from the celestial liquid, his body didn't break, die. The divine sense showed a hint of fear. Given Wang Lin's current state, even the person inside the Black Tower couldn't help but feel like something bad was coming. From his point of view, this Wang Lin had really gone crazy. If I knew it was going to be like this, I would not have tried to devour him. The death intent inside the divine sense pierced through the void and landed on Wang Lin. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Although his eyes dimmed a bit, it was soon replaced with killing and battle intent. As Wang Lin flew, a beast-like roar came out of his throat. Finger of death. The finger of death absorbs the life force others, causing the living to wither and give their power to it. At this moment, Wang Lin used this power in this crazed state. An aura of death began to spread out from his body and fuse with the world. As he floated in the air, all of the vegetation under him withered. As he flew across the sky, the withering on the earth spread, and vegetation, birds, and beasts all died. This place looked like hell. It was very strange yet extremely shocking. Their deaths created strands of white gas that caught up to Wang Lin and entered his body. These strands of white gas quickly helped repair Wang Lin's damaged body and origin soul. In the fire demon country, Zishu was sitting on a horse. He was wearing a blue robe and had a giant sword on his back, and his eyes looked coldly into the distance. Behind him were 30,000 demon soldiers. The Dalu sword sect's 12 swords had all scattered, and he was one of them. His cultivation was at the peak of the late stage of soul transformation. He had successfully gotten the position of chief commander, and was leading his demon soldiers to meet his fellow brothers. As they moved, his expression suddenly changed when he saw a meteor blazing across the sky. His eyes narrowed to look at it carefully, and then his expression immediately changed. Ascendant cultivator. He quickly lowered his head and ordered his demon soldiers to back up, as he was unwilling to provoke this ascendant cultivator. He also saw that this ascendant cultivator's state of mind seemed a bit crazy. What made him even more terrified was that everywhere that person went, the earth under him would completely wither and be absorbed. Fortunately, they weren't on the same path, or else Zishu would have immediately chosen to go into another direction and stay far away from this person. Wang Lin didn't even notice the demon soldiers. Right now, the only things in his eyes were battle and kill. At this moment, the cold snort carrying killing intent and a hint of anxiety came again. This time, it was even stronger, causing Wang Lin's body to tremble and cough out another mouthful of blood. His body was about to be destroyed and his origin soul was about to dissipate. However, all of the life force he had absorbed on the way here was slowly nourishing his body and origin soul, allowing them to slowly recover. Zishu stared at Wang Lin in the sky. When he saw Wang Lin cough out blood, his eyes suddenly lit up. This person must be seriously injured. Although he has a strong aura, for him to cough out blood while just flying shows just how injured he is. Since this person has reached the ascendant stage, he must have many magic treasures and even some good techniques. More importantly, if I can refine his origin soul and feed it to my sword spirit, it will increase the power of my sword spirit greatly. A hint of killing intent appeared in Zishu's eyes, but it soon dimmed. This person is an ascendant cultivator after all, but if I let this opportunity pass, who knows when I'll meet another seriously injured ascendant cultivator. Let's do it. Zishu's eyes lit up once more. Kill! Zishu's body turned into a shadow and charged directly toward Wang Lin. The demon soldiers behind him heard the order and quickly began laying down the formation. A killing intent locked onto Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent, so he was very sensitive to killing intent. He turned his head and saw the 30,000 demon soldiers on the ground, and Zishu, who was charging at him. He revealed a grim smile. Then his body moved and charged towards Zishu. He was simply too fast, and arrived next to Zishu's body in an instant. Zishu's expression changed greatly. He expected this person to run, not charge at him while seriously injured. He let out a snort before his hand formed a seal, and the large sword on his back flew out. At the moment the large sword flew out, Wang Lin appeared. He grabbed the large sword with his right hand and threw it behind him. Then at the same time, he passed right beside Zishu. At the Wang Lion passed by Zishu, he softly tapped Zishu's shoulder. Zishu trembled and his body immediately withered along with his origin soul. In the blink of an eye, a life seal was formed, and it flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's didn't stop at all, and charged into the 30,000 demon soldiers on the ground. A mad slaughter began. Blood stained the earth and souls filled the sky. Strands of life seals continued to appear and enter his body. Half an incense stick of time later, the ground was covered in blood. After it was over, Wang Lin flew out and charged into the distance. He now had 30,000 life seals, each of which carried endless vitality. As each mark disappeared, his body recovered a bit. The life seals were quickly dissipating, but his body was also quickly recovering. The anger of the divine sense inside the Black Tower and the ancient battleground became even stronger. This person absorbed a large number of celestial ascension fruits. Under the effect of the fruit, he isn't even afraid of death. Many of my attacks should have killed him, but instead of dying, his battle intent became even stronger. That's not even the important part. This person has a spell that allows him to absorb life from all sorts of life forms, allowing his injuries to recover at a rapid pace. If this continues, he will arrive here one day. A very rare feeling of regret appeared in the divine sense inside the black armor. For now, just the first watch today. Leo will rest tonight and start catching up on the missed chapters tomorrow. Chapter 603, There is Killing Intent. At the moment Wang Lin left, Zishu's body was already on the ground. It had completely withered and was left without a trace of vitality, but there was a faint golden light flashing on his forehead. Zishu's origin soul had already collapsed, so his body fell from the sky. The difference between him and Wang Lin was too big. He couldn't even use the sword energy that his master gifted him before he died. Wang Lin's heart carried a fierce madness, and the celestial spiritual energy inside his body moved like surging waves between his meridians and origin soul. Adding on the stimulation from the fruit, he was like a war god carrying monstrous killing intent. His eyes were bloodshot as he took a step forward in the air. There were rumbling echoes across the air as if his steps were shattering the sky. He moved rapidly across the air with these large strides. He was still far away from the location of the ancient battleground. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he walked across the sky, attracting the attention of a lot of people inside the demon spirit land. Among these people were cultivators and the demon generals of the fire demon country. As long as they didn't provoke Wang Lin, he ignored them, but at the moment they had any killing intent toward Wang Lin, he would immediately be able to detect them due to his current state. Anyone who had killing intent would be killed by Wang Lin without any hesitation. There was a private planet far away from planet Tianyun called Planet Mo. This planet belonged to someone called Mo Ancestor. His cultivation had reached illusory yin of the yin and yang stage. This time, with his current cultivation, he lost the qualification to enter the demon spirit land. However, of his 3 disciples, aside from the head disciple, the other 2 both entered. At this moment, 2 youths wearing gray robes were flying across the sky in the fire demon country. These 2 were the 2 direct disciples of the Mo Ancestor. As they flew, one of their eyes suddenly lit up. He looked into the distance and could clearly feel that there seemed to be a primal beast emitting unimaginable killing intent, and that it was coming toward their direction. This person's expression suddenly changed and he yelled, "Junior brother, quickly retreat!" With that, the 2 of them quickly scattered to the sides, and right after they did so, a meteor-like figure passed by. The figure passed by them. Ascendant. This person's pupils shrank. "Senior brother, he seems to be injured." The person's junior brother suddenly stared at the figure filled with killing intent, gradually moving away, and suddenly sent a voice transmission. "An ascendant cultivator must have a lot of treasure on him. If we can obtain his demon crystal." The senior brother's eyes narrowed, and he hesitated. "Senior brother, both of us are at the late stage of soul transformation. Although our chances aren't great, with the 2 of us against an injured ascendant cultivator, and if we use magical treasures." Just as the 2 of them were communicating with each other, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. He turned around, looked behind him with his bloodshot eyes, and muttered, "There is killing intent." He suddenly turned around and charged toward those 2 like a bolt of lightning. When the 2 of them saw Wang Lin turn around, their expressions quickly changed and they began to retreat. However, Wang Lin's speed was too fast, so in the blink of an eye, he arrived next to the junior brother and extended his finger. The youth's expression changed greatly and was aghast at the situation. He looked at Wang Lin's gaze and was startled. This gaze was too terrifying. Wang Lin's finger made the youth feel like it was completely irresistible, as if this finger represented the heavens. This finger landed on his forehead at an unimaginable speed. This youth let out a miserable groan before his body instantaneously withered and his origin soul collapsed. The shattered origin soul and essence of his body was turned into slaughter energy. Then that strand of slaughter energy left his body and flew to Wang Lin. This all happened too fast. So fast that the senior brother wasn't able to react at all. By the time he awakened from the shock, his body shivered. Without any hesitation, he began to teleport and his body stepped into the void. Wang Lin took a step forward, streaked through the sky, and his right hand reached out. His finger seemed to have pierced through the void and forcibly pulled the young man out. The young man's face was pale as he quickly said, "I am Mo ancestor S." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Wang Lin's hand tightened. This person's body suddenly collapsed into pieces of flesh that fell to the ground. His life force turned into gray gas and flew toward Wang Lin. After killing the two of them, Wang Lin's eyes became even more red, and the battle intent became even stronger. Then his body suddenly jerked and he charged into the distance. As Wang Lin flew, the earth continued to wither. Every living thing died, whether it was vegetation or animals. All of them were killed and used to nourish Wang Lin's body. He seemed to come from hell as he devoured all life. Wang Lin flew almost in a straight line across the fire demon country, and everything along this line withered. A large amount of death was left behind as Wang Lin passed through. This was a kind of humiliation and provocation for a country. Dozens of demon generals were sent out to encircle and suppress this devil cultivator. The location of his encirclement was located near the border of the fire demon country and sky demon country. This place was called the Million Demon Mountain. Thick fog that never dissipated covered the Million Demon Mountain. There were two cities near the Million Demon Mountains with one on each side. One was the Fire Demon Country's Leisure Sky City, and the other was the Sky Demon Country's Melting Fire City. At this moment, more than 100,000 demon soldiers were prepared in Leisure Sky City, and more than 10 demon generals were looking at the distance. Among the demon generals, there was one person of a different rank. This person was a middle-aged man, and his expression was gloomy. Killing this cultivator will not be difficult for us. This time the vice commander-in-chief is with us, so it will be even easier. A man next to the middle-aged man smiled. Although he was smiling, he was still showing respect. The next demon general laughed. "That's right. With the vice commander-in-chief here, we can turn that cultivator into ashes in an instant." The middle-aged man calmly said, "All of you, finish this battle quickly, and once you guys kill that cultivator, I'll be leaving." Although his expression was gloomy, there was still a hint of pride in his eyes. As a vice commander-in-chief, his status was very high, and he would normally not leave the capital for a mere cultivator. He was originally going to go to the Sky Demon Country for a personal matter, but when he arrived, he received orders from the Demon Emperor to stay here for a few days to lead the demon generals in a fight against a cultivator. He was quite helpless about this arrangement. In his opinion, there was no need to send this many people to kill a cultivator. It was too troublesome. At this moment, he pondered and said, "Are you guys sure this person will pass through here?" "Vice Commander-in-Chief, be at ease, as we have already sent people to scout. This person is traveling in a straight line and will definitely pass through here." "Vice Commander-in-Chief, there is one thing that confuses me. Out of the 10 people we sent out, only 3 of them died instead of all of them dying. It seems like this cultivator has some strange attitude when it comes to killing people." As the demon generals were talking, the middle-aged man's expression changed. He looked into the distance and revealed a hint of impatience as he said, "A mere ascendant cultivator who is also seriously injured dares to be this bold in my fire demon country? All of you, quickly finish this fight." The more than 10 demon generals were startled, and they all directed their cold gazes into the distance. One person wearing blue armor took a few steps forward toward the middle-aged man and said, "Lord Vice Commander-in-Chief, your subordinate, Yin Dong, is willing to go kill this person." The middle-aged man nodded. Demon General Yin Dong took a step, turned into a ray of green light, and flew toward Wang Lin. Yin Dong's eyes became cold and revealed a hint of killing intent. He had to beautifully kill this person before the Vice Commander-in-Chief. If he could catch the attention of the Vice Commander-in-Chief, he would be on the path to success. An injured early-stage ascendant cultivator, HMASH. My demonic force is almost at 300,000, and although I have no confidence against a real ascendant cultivator, you are seriously injured. Killing you 1T be difficult. Killing intent as Wang Lin flew, his eyes contained a monstrous amount of red, and killing and battle intent filled his mind. Incomer, stop, Yindong shouted as he flew, and he poured all of his demonic force into this sound to create a shock effect. This loud roar was like a thunderous roar as it echoed across the city. Then all 100,000 soldiers came to attention, and a killing aura surrounded the area. The middle-aged man revealed a hint of admiration for talent, and said, "This Yindong is not bad, he knows to use aura to pressure people." Yindong felt very proud when he felt the killing intent in the air. However, didn't he know that this killing intent led to the bloody gates of hell? This thick killing intent was immediately felt by Wang Lin in his current sensitive state. This killing intent was too strong, and when Wang Lin felt this, his crazy mind caused his battle intent to increase several-fold. He didn't stop at all and stepped forth. Yindong let out a cold snort and was about to use a skill, but right at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head. His eyes revealed a crazy amount of red light as he lifted his hand and pointed forward. In an instant, a black light created by the finger of death shot out. Yindong didn't even have time to dodge before he was surrounded by the black light. Then his body withered and eventually collapsed. At this moment, the shouts from the 100,000 demon soldiers on the ground suddenly stopped. Silence. A strange silence filled the wall. The middle-aged man's eyes suddenly opened, and for the first time revealed a sign of caution. Kill! During this silence, Wang Lin let out a roar. Then strands of slaughter energy came out from his body and turned into dragons. In an instant, the more than 30,000 strands of slaughter energy appeared and filled the air. At this moment, Wang Lin was surrounded by more than 30,000 dragons and looked like a demon god that was descending. Every chief commander, listen to orders and prepare the formation. A shout came from one of the old men among the demon generals, causing the 100,000 demon soldiers to immediately move. At the moment the 100,000 demon soldiers moved, the 30,000 strands of slaughter aura descended. A bloodbath was about to start. Not paying attention, this chapter quickly racks up 5,000 words. Does that qualify as a major chapter? Could it be wishing for the like button for the video? Chapter 604, 10 Years of Enlightenment, the Tao transforms into the underworld. It was not false that 100,000 demon soldiers could destroy an ascendant cultivator, but only if this ascendant cultivator wasn't Wang Lin. When a normal ascendant cultivator meets 100,000 demon soldiers, although they can use spells to kill them, the 100,000 demon soldiers can battle the ascendant cultivator by fusing their demonic spiritual energy into one and creating a formation. But at this moment, Wang Lin was so crazy that he wasn't even afraid of death, so how would he mind these demon soldiers? His celestial slaughter art required slaughter to create more slaughter energy. At this moment, Wang Lin's origin soul was being stimulated by the celestial ascension fruit, and he had a large amount of celestial spiritual energy in his body, so how could he be stopped by 100,000 demon soldiers? If there were 5 times more demon soldiers, Wang Lin would definitely be defeated, but he would not lose when facing only 100,000 of them. Slaughter energy charged through the demon soldiers like crazy. As the tragic screams came from the demon soldiers, their demonic spiritual energy gathered to form the image of a scorpion. The scorpion was made of demonic spiritual energy and had a very large body. The scorpion's tail looked like it could shatter space itself when it attacked. The middle-aged man on the wall had a gloomy expression as he said, "Go and kill this person." The demon generals beside him all charged out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin immediately noticed more than 10 strands of killing intent coming at him. He quickly moved and pointed his right pinky forward. Underworld finger. This underworld finger was used with ascendant level cultivation. One finger to summon the underworld. After his domain and origin soul fused, this finger represented the changes of life and death. The moment the finger appeared, countless flashes of lightning appeared across the sky, and a large river suddenly appeared in the air. This river was cloudy with countless remnants and limbs flowing within it. There were also countless ghosts struggling within, and many different human faces could be seen within the water. As Wang Lin waved his pinky, large waves were created inside the river and descended from the sky. It came down like a flood and trapped all living things within it. As the water from the underworld fell from the sky became cloudy and the life and death domain was activated. This underworld river was something he comprehended in the 10 years it took for his origin soul and domain to fuse. This river did not belong to the heavens. It was formed by Wang Lin, and only he controlled it. He had comprehended the heavens' reincarnation cycle, and during those 10 years of enlightenment, he used the underworld finger to create this endless underworld river. The moment the demon generals charged out, they were washed away by the underworld river that descended from the sky and were trapped by it. Bursts of exclamations came from the demon generals. They just couldn't believe that the youth before them was this strong. One spell was able to trap most of the demon generals. Although they couldn't completely see through this spell, a few were able to see some clues. The middle-aged man on the wall's face changed like it never had before. He unconsciously took a few steps back and revealed a look of disbelief. This isn't possible. This person is only an ascendant cultivator, but he has such a terrifying Tao that he has already created his own underworld river. This kind of cultivation has already reached the second step of reaching the edge of the heavens Tao. Making his own reincarnation cycle with the underworld river formed by his own Tao was the biggest harvest he had in the last 10 years of defying the heavens. But this Tao was still only a vague concept in Wang Lin's mind. After all, 10 years of comprehension was still too little. However, he was currently being stimulated by the celestial ascension fruit, so his mind had reached a new peak. Adding on the surging celestial spiritual energy inside his body, the effects of both could be able to complete that vague concept in his mind and make it into reality. This was the most important step in his life as a cultivator so far. Once he takes this step, he will truly have his own Tao. From that moment on, he will no longer cultivate the heavens, the earth, the immortals, or the gods. He will become a Taoist, someone who cultivates Tao. The underworld river swept across the group and carried more than 10 demon soldiers back with it. The demon generals trapped inside the underworld river struggled like crazy. Their combined struggle was very powerful and even caused the newly formed underworld river to loosen a bit. Wang Lin's eyes became red as he turned into shadow and entered the underworld river. Once he entered the underworld river, it became as stable as Mount Tai. Anyone who wishes to kill me will be trapped in my underworld river. This is my own reincarnation cycle that isn't controlled by the heavens. Wang Lin's voice spread out his Tao. It fused into the underworld river and turned into reincarnation power. The underworld river rolled back and disappeared from the world, and the more than 10 demon generals disappeared with it. The scorpion formed by the demon soldiers also collapsed. As the 30,000 strands of slaughter energy moved through, they carried back with them strands of gray gas. These strands all rushed toward Wang Lin, who was slowly walking toward the city. It looked like the gray gas was a giant cloak on Wang Lin's back. This cloak was so big that it covered the earth. The expression of the middle-aged man on the wall became pale, and his throat felt dry. He kept backing up, as he felt like he had no power to resist the man before him. My cultivation level is the same as this person's, say. Both of us are at the early stage of ascendant. This person is seriously injured, so I was originally 100% confident in killing him. But now I'm not even 10% confident this person already has his own Tao. And that underworld river is too terrifying. The demon emperor has harmed me by making me stay here. The middle-aged man clenched his teeth and began to retreat like crazy. He didn't hesitate at all as he took out a black, fist-sized beast bone and crushed it. The moment the beast bone shattered, a strand of black gas came out of it. The black gas quickly surrounded the middle-aged man and teleported him away. This black bone was a very precious item that could teleport someone directly back to the capital. Only the commander-in-chiefs and vice-commander-in-chiefs had them. Wang Lin's eyes were extremely red. He waved his hand and the 100,000 demon soldiers turned into 100,000 strands of slaughter energy. Adding on the 30,000 strands from before, 130,000 strands of slaughter energy charged out. At the moment the middle-aged man disappeared, the 130,000 strands of slaughter energy quickly caught up. There was a very luxurious transfer array in the capital of the Fire Demon country that only commander-in-chiefs and vice-commander-in-chiefs could use. The head steward of the Fire Demon country was silently cultivating next to the array. He suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a smile as the transfer array activated. He knew that a commander-in-chief or vice-commander-in-chief had returned. I wonder who returned. He stood up and turned around to look at the formation. However, his expression immediately changed. He stared at the formation and was completely dumbfounded. As the formation lit up, a withered mummy fell from the void. The mummy's eyes were still open and filled with reluctance. The death of a vice-commander-in-chief was a big deal for any of the countries in the demon spirit land. The angry roar of the fire demon country's demon emperor echoed throughout the entire capital. Search! Find who that cultivator is and kill him. I don't care what his identity is, I want him dead. As Wang Lin left the city at the border between the fire demon country and the sky demon country, he took with him 100,000 strands of slaughter energy. The power of the celestial ascension fruit in his body was still going strong. Not only had the killing not lowered his battle intent, it caused it to increase even more. His killing intent also increased. He turned into a ferocious meteor as he charged toward the location where he sensed the source of the attacks. In the past several days, that cold snort never appeared again. Wang Lin's body had already recovered thanks to all of the life force he had taken from the earth. In fact, his body was reaching its peak with the help of all the slaughter energy. In the Black Tower in the ancient battleground, there was a ghostly light flickering inside the armor that was missing a wrist guard, and there was an old man kneeling before the armor. This old man was wearing all black. He was the person that saved Hu Pao. I'll give you 3 pieces of the demonic armor. Stop him. He is not allowed to step foot onto this ancient battleground. As the divine sense message echoed in the tower, a wrist guard, chest piece, and shoulder guard flew off the armor. The moment the 3 pieces of armor flew out, they turned into black threads that drilled into the old man's clothes. The black threads moved through the old man's skin and quickly appeared all over his body. The threads constantly moved, and when they eventually stopped, a set of black armor appeared over the old man. This armor was simple, but there was a monstrous amount of devilish energy coming from it. An arm-sized illusion appeared from the devilish energy. This illusion was a shadow with a single horn, exactly the same as the creature Wang Lin destroyed. The moment it appeared, it entered the old man's forehead. The old man seemed to be enduring a great deal of pain. The veins all over his body swelled up and his cries of pain spread far into the distance. After a long time, the old man's body trembled. Then his eyes revealed a devilish light and he respectfully said, "This devil servant obeys." Go! The ghostly light from the armor was very dim. The divine sense message it gave out revealed that it was tired. The old man no longer spoke. He stood up and walked out of the tower. Then he looked into the distance and, after pondering a bit, he shouted, "Demon guardians, come out!" After he said that, a huge gust of wind appeared over the entire ancient battleground. This wind was extremely cold and felt like it could freeze the ground it blew by. This demonic wind circled around the old man and turned into a woman wearing armor. There was a tattoo on her face that covered her whole body. However, due to her armor, parts of the tattoo were blocked. After she appeared, she knelt down on one knee and softly said, "Demon Guardian Wind Song, present." If Wang Lin was here, he would notice that this woman was very similar to Demon General Ji Lian. Shortly after, the earth trembled, and there was a series of explosions. The ground 100 feet before the old man suddenly exploded, and a completely black arm reached out. A very lean old man climbed out from the ground. He was on all fours like some kind of wild beast. He turned his head to look at the old man and grinned. "Demon Guardian Earth Devil, present." At this moment, soul fragments filled the horizon and waves of ghostly wails could be heard. These soul fragments formed a giant black cloud that covered the sky. There were no less than 100 million soul fragments within the black cloud. The black cloud formed a cone shape, and below it, a sullen-looking young man was slowly walking over. The roars of the large amount of soul fragments behind him echoed across the area. "Demon Guardian Hu Pao, present." Here comes another 4,000 words in a major chapter. Leo doesn't make empty promises. Could it now be time to wish for the like button for the video? Chapter 605, Demon Guardian. After passing through the 10,000 Demon Mountain, the location of the source of the cold snort became even more clear to Wang Lin. After several days, an endless wasteland appeared before him. There was countless debris covering the wasteland. The ground was covered in cracks, and there was an unpleasant smell being carried by the wind. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. The celestial ascension fruit had penetrated his entire mind after being under its effect for so many days. His awareness had increased several-fold, and now he only needed a little stimulation to erupt. At this moment, the only thought in Wang Lin's mind was kill. He moved like a bolt of lightning, charging directly at the wasteland. Just at this moment, a series of explosions came from the ground below Wang Lin. Following the sound, a spike made of yellow earth suddenly shot into the air toward him. At the moment this spike appeared, countless more appeared. They were like ferocious needles that whizzed through the air. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin was surrounded by spikes. Wang Lin's divine sense was very sensitive. Instead of backing up, the celestial spiritual energy inside his body formed a vortex. Under the power of the vortex, all of the spikes shattered. A black figure suddenly jumped out from the ground and landed on one of the spikes. This person was skinny and his body was completely black. He was on all fours with his head tilted as he looked at Wang Lin and licked his lips. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he took a step forward and pressed down with his right thumb. The finger of death appeared and shot toward the skinny old man as a ray of black light. The old man let out a grin. This grin was very dark. Facing the finger of death, not only did he not dodge, he suddenly opened his big mouth. At this moment, an illusion suddenly appeared behind him. This illusion was about 100 feet tall, looked like a cocoon, and there were pustules on it. At the moment the skinny old man opened his mouth, a big mouth also appeared on the illusionary cocoon behind him. He sucked the black light of the finger of death into his mouth and then swallowed it. At the moment he swallowed it, the illusionary cocoon behind him also acted like it had swallowed the finger of death. Its belly was bulged, and its entire body began to squirm. The pustules on the cocoon burst, releasing foul-smelling liquid. The old man's skinny hand reached out, causing the foul liquid to condense into a ball of pus in his hand. He stared darkly at Wang Lin and spoke for the first time. "Little kid, your spell was delicious. Let me gift you one too." With that, he threw the ball of pus in his hand toward the ground. This ball of pus was too fast and landed on the ground in the blink of an eye. When it exploded, it released the pus and fused with the ground. In an instant, the ground within 10,000 feet began to tremble. Shortly after, large amounts of pus came out from the ground and suddenly formed an encirclement. A thick layer of pus quickly rose up on the outer ring, creating a powerful wall. The old man licked his lips and, in a flash, he disappeared into the pus. Right after he disappeared, the wall of pus suddenly began to close in from all directions. The wall of pus covered the sky and the earth. As it closed it in, it formed a giant sphere. The old man appeared outside of the pus sphere. He stared at the sphere that was quickly contracting and said, with his hoarse voice wind-song, "There is no need for you to be here, so you can go back. A mere cultivator dares to do as he wishes here. He has no chance of surviving my heaven pus and earth sore." A gust of cold wind blew by, and the woman with the tattoo on her face appeared 100 feet from the old man. She coldly looked at the pus sphere that had shrunken down to only 100 feet wide and coldly said, "If this person could be killed so easily, Master wouldn't have sent us out." "Oh? Then I want to see how this little cultivator can escape from my heaven pus and earth sore." The skinny old man smiled, but soon his smile froze. When the pus sphere shrunk down to only 30 feet wide, it stopped and no longer shrunk. A powerful battle and killing intent penetrated through the pus sphere. The killing intent that penetrated through caused the surrounding temperature to immediately drop and created gusts of cold wind. The battle intent that was mixed in with the killing intent caused the skinny old man's pupils to shrink. Just at this moment, muffled roars came from within the sphere of pus. Soon, a ray of sword energy split the sphere of pus and charged out. This sword energy was monstrous. When it appeared, it caused the sky to be filled with sword energy. There was another sword next to the celestial sword. It was a treasured sword, and the faint figure of a devil ram soul had appeared on the sword. There was also a half-moon blade next to the two swords. This blade let out a blade hymn and gave off a cold aura. Behind those three weapons was Wang Lin. He slowly walked step by step out of the sphere of pus that was cut in half. His eyes were bright red, and the killing and battle intent in his eyes had fused into a mysterious light. The skinny old man's heart trembled when he looked over. This person's gaze is somewhat terrifying. At the moment he stepped out, the three weapons before Wang Lin charged out. They turned into 3 rays of light and shot toward the old man and the woman. The woman's expression was gloomy as she took a step back and immediately disappeared. The black half-moon blade let out a sudden hymn as it also disappeared. A series of groans and sounds of metal colliding quickly echoed throughout the surrounding area. The old man's eyes became cold. He didn't even look at the three weapons before his hand formed a seal, and he shouted, "Earth soar!" The ground 10,000 feet around the old man began to shake. As the ground shook, rings of light appeared and quickly began to expand. They looked like the sores that grow on people's faces, but they were growing on the earth. The old man shouted, "Explode!" At this moment, his energy surged, and all of the sores growing out of the ground immediately exploded. Then Shu Liguo came out from the celestial sword and cursed at the skinny old man. "Blow yourself up." He controlled the celestial sword to attack the old man directly. The old man revealed an impatient expression, and his hand reached out, trying to grab the celestial sword. In his eyes, it wasn't hard to grab the sword with just his body at his cultivation level. Shu Liguo laughed in his heart when he saw the old man trying to grab the sword. Not only did he not dodge, but he even slowed down, waiting for the old man. What kind of sword is this?" The old man was shocked and quickly retreated. However, the celestial sword gave chase. The sword with the evil ram soul arched around and attacked the old man's back. After the sores on the earth exploded, a thick wall of pus 100 feet tall appeared and spread out in ripples. Wang Lin's body was filled with celestial spiritual energy as he floated in the air. He took a step toward the old man, who was entangled with the two swords. The old man let out an angry roar as he called out the illusionary cocoon again to use his spell. With one step, Wang Lin broke space and arrived above the old man. His blood-red eyes stared at the illusionary cocoon, and his right hand reached out. Strands of slaughter energy charged out and drilled into the illusion. Then he closed his right hand and pulled back. There was a tearing sound as he tore the illusionary cocoon from behind the old man. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he threw the cocoon behind him. Then his right hand viciously reached out. The cocoon exploded as it flew through the air. Large amounts of pus sprayed out, and there was a muffled groan from the void. Winsong's body appeared where the cocoon exploded. Her face was pale, but her eyes were even more gloomy. The half-moon blade followed closely after her and stabbed toward her. Winsong waved her hand. There was now a silver dagger in her hand. The sound of metal colliding was heard as the half-moon blade was pushed back, but Winsong was also pushed back a few steps. She had just arrived here while fighting the half-moon blade and was forced to reveal herself because of the cocoon exploding. After the cocoon was crushed, the old man coughed out blood and revealed a look of disbelief. At this moment, Wang Lin's thumb pressed down again, and the finger of death appeared once more. This time the black light charged out like crazy. This black was too fast and was already very close to the old man. The moment it appeared before the old man. The old man panicked and opened his mouth to devour the black light. Although he devoured the black light, it didn't dissipate and instead penetrated through his mouth. Just at this moment, Winsong threw the dagger in her hand. The dagger and the half-moon blade began to fight. She then turned into a cold breeze and charged toward Wang Lin, who had his back toward her. The wind was very fast. She closed in on Wang Lin in almost an instant. Wang Lin didn't turn his head but touched his bag of holding. The soul lasher appeared in his hand. The long whip was completely black and gave off an aura that could cause the soul to tremble. At the moment Winsong closed in, the soul lasher suddenly moved. There was a loud bang followed by Winsong's miserable groan. She was knocked out of the void and there was a red whip mark on her face. For the first time, her eyes revealed shock. Right now she didn't want to kill, she wanted to retreat as soon as possible. Wang Lin's mind had long lost his consciousness due to the stimulation of the celestial ascension fruit, so everything he did was by instinct. Winsong quickly retreated. For her to be able to fight the half-moon blade, her speed was naturally very fast. She quickly retreated without even leaving a shadow. Without even thinking, Wang Lin's palm pressed down and a huge handprint suddenly appeared before him. The same nameless palm print that managed to even scare Mo Lihai appeared. Wang Lin's slaughter energy moved within the palm print. Creating a gust of wind in its path, the palm print moved at an unimaginable speed, chasing after Winsong. The palm print passed through Winsong while she retreated. The slaughter energy inside the palm entered her body, causing her to explode. A gentle wind blew by and caused Wang Lin's hair to flutter. He continued to march into the distance, and in front of him were the three weapons. On the ground there were a pile of flesh and a mummy giving off an endless amount of death aura. At 36, Leo is still getting wisdom teeth, in pain for many days, with swollen jaws, frustrated, and they're not even breaking through yet. Counting them, there are 3 or 4 wisdom teeth not yet emerged. Chapter 606 Awaken. Inside the black tower, the ghostly light flickered like it never had before. There was even a hint of fear inside the ghostly light. This kind of thing almost never happened in these countless years. That palm-printed sim. Could this person have something to do with him? Could he also be here? There was a trace of panic in the divine sense. Normally, with his mental strength, this kind of panic would never appear. However, that person was simply too terrifying. So terrifying that even with his cultivation, his heart would tremble when thinking about that person. Although this person's palm print has a lot of differences, about 70% of it is the same as his spell. Is this a coincidence? Or, Wang Lin! A loud shout came down like a thunderous roar from the sky. Although this shout came from a person, it also felt like it had come from 100 million souls. This sound arrived like a series of explosions. The sky changed color, and it was as if the sound was the only thing that remained. Wang Lin's stimulated origin soul showed a sign of sobering up when he heard this voice. Although his eyes were still blood red, at this moment, they revealed a rare glimmer of clarity. He turned around and saw dark clouds rushing over from the horizon. These black clouds were made of countless soul fragments. These soul fragments were full of energy and caused terrifying ripples as they charged over. A black-robed young man walked toward Wang Lin step by step under the black clouds. This person looked normal, but there was a deep sense of hatred in his eyes. He stared at Wang Lin and shouted, while clenching his teeth, "Wang Lin, do you recognize me?" Wang Lin's eyes revealed a sense of clarity. He looked at this person and said, in a low tone, "Hu Pao, you still remember me? Wang Lin, I'll personally kill you today." Hu Pao laughed like crazy, causing the clouds of soul fragments above him to tremble. This created a huge pressure that enveloped the area. "Wang Lin, you never would have imagined that I, Hu Pao, would be like this today. Back then you were so strong in my eyes that it was completely impossible to do anything against you. However, now you are only an ant in my eyes." Hu Pao stared at Wang Lin while venting all the resentment he had stored up in the past 10 years. He wasn't in a rush to attack. He wanted to vent. Wang Lin's voice was still calm. "Indeed, I would never have imagined." Hu Pao madly shouted, "When you abandoned me in 13, do you know how much we suffered? Especially me, who had all of my bones crushed and meridians shattered by that commander. I suffered torture and humiliation in the dark prison. Where were you then? When I called countless times for you to save me, where were you? In your eyes, 13 and I were only pawns. Unfortunately, 13 is still a fool and doesn't know your true face." The soul fragments above him seemed to feel this excitement and roared with him. "Fortunately, the heavens have eyes and didn't let me just die. Instead, it gave me a new life and let me meet Master. I was able to complete my soul refining spell here, and I have refined over 100 million soul fragments. Today you will without a doubt die. However, I won't kill you so easily. I'll seal your soul inside your body and throw you into the most cruel dungeon in the 9-demon country, where you will be humiliated but won't be able to die. Then I'll extract your soul and seal you in a soul flag where I can torment you every day." Hu Pao viciously stared at Wang Lin before revealing a hint of mockery and saying, "Have you ever thought that you would one day be killed by the spell you taught? Have you ever tasted the feeling of 100 million soul fragments invading your body? After I take your soul, I'll return to the soul refining tribe and take all of their souls too." Hu Pao's body was trembling. This trembling was caused by excitement, and he began to laugh like crazy. Wang Lin pondered for a long time and slowly said, "So it turns out you hate me this much." "Hate? Of course, I, Hu Pao, will not be ordinary in this life. With this soul refining spell and the 100 million soul fragments, I'll be at the top of the demon spirit land. You are not qualified to be my master, even if you were before. You must die." Arrogant laughter came from Hu Pao. At this moment, he really did have the qualifications to be arrogant. The power of 100 million soul fragments was indeed great, especially because these 100 million soul fragments all came from this ancient battleground. Before they died, none of their cultivations were weak. There were even some demon general level soul fragments, making it all the more terrifying. With this soul flag in my hand, who else can stop me besides the master who saved me? No one can stop me. 100 million soul fragments isn't my goal. My goal is 1 billion, 10 billion. I want a 10th demon country to appear in the demon spirit land. The first demon emperor will be me, Hu Pao. Wang Lin silently looked at Hu Pao and slowly said, "So it seems you want to kill me, and hatred is only half the reason. The other half is to kill everyone else that knows the soul refining spell. This way there will be no one else who can use the same spell as you to compete with you for soul fragments, correct?" Hu Pao stared at Wang Lin and let out a grim laugh. "You are indeed worthy of being my previous master. That is correct, you treated me as a pawn, but you taught me the soul refining spell. Although I hated you before, it wasn't that much. However, inside the dark prison, I reached enlightenment. What right do you have to be my master? What right did others have to attack me because they don't like you? Because you are strong? Then if I become even more powerful, then what? That is why at the moment I was rescued, I swore that I'd become strong. I'd overtake you and then kill you." Wang Lin slightly shook his head as he carefully looked at Hu Pao and said, "To be able to cultivate to this step in only 10 years of time, I have to admit, not even the most blessed daughter of the heavens could compare to you on this. At first I was puzzled. Although your talent is good and even better than Red Butterfly S at certain points, it is impossible to cultivate to this degree in only 10 years. It should also be impossible for you to contain and control so many soul fragments, but now I understand the reason. You must have cultivated a method that burns your potential in life. You will quickly reach your peak for a very short period of time. This peak will be very short, and I am afraid it will last not even more than a day." "Shut up!" Hu Pao's expression was fierce as he pointed at the sky. A part of the black clouds suddenly split off, turning into millions of souls. Hu Pao pointed at Wang Lin, and the soul fragments rushed toward him. Hu Pao madly laughed. "I'll let you see what a million soul fragments are like. You probably have never even seen 1 million souls before." Shu Liguo clearly heard the talk between the two of them. He looked at Hu Pao and thought, "This kid doesn't know how high the heavens is. Your grandpa Shu has tried to revolt many times, and each time I failed. If you can really succeed, I'll change my surname to Hu and be called Hu Liguo. Revolting is a very difficult thing, and it requires a lot of planning, especially when it is against this fiend. How can you think it will be this simple?" Wang Lin raised his head and calmly looked at the sky. The 1 million soul fragments rushed at him. This was something he hadn't seen in a long time. This black mass of soul fragments, all with ferocious expressions, wouldn't retreat until they had completely devoured him. Wang Lin let out a soft sigh as he raised his right hand and pressed it toward the sky. Then a symbol appeared in his palm. The 1 million soul fragments suddenly stopped and remained motionless after seeing the symbol. This scene was too strange, and it even startled Hu Pao. "The soul refining spell is not used like this." Wang Lin's voice was soft as he waved his right hand. Looks of respect appeared in the eyes of the 1 million soul fragments. The soul fragments recognized Hu Pao as their master, but when they saw that symbol, they immediately understood that the person before them was the real master. This is impossible, not possible. Hu Pao suddenly lost connection to those 1 million souls in his mind. He was startled and revealed a ferocious expression as he shouted, 100 million souls, devour! After he said that, the black clouds in the sky suddenly descended, creating crazy amounts of pressure, and the 100 million souls rushed out. At this moment, it was as if the only thing that existed in this world right now were the soul fragments. Hu Pao revealed a ferocious expression. It was as if could see that Wang Lin was about to be devoured. As the 100 million soul fragments rushed over, Wang Lin's origin soul left his body and swept the area. The weak point that Wang Lin left in the soul refining spell that he taught was used at this moment. Wang Lin had absolute control over all of the souls refined by people who learned the soul refining spell from him. The 100 million soul fragments were startled, and they immediately showed respect in their eyes and circled Wang Lin. They formed back into the black cloud and stared back at Hu Pao. At this moment, Hu Pao was completely stunned. There was no longer a single soul fragment near him. This huge change, this strange scene caused Hu Pao's mind to blank out. Your soul refining spell was manipulated by someone to make it easier to control. However, how could the root of the soul refining spell be so easily changed without the true inheritance and tens of thousands of years of sacrifice? Wang Lin was the person who inherited the soul refining spell, and the soul refining spell was the heart of the soul refining sect. Although the soul refining spell wasn't an earth-shattering spell, it was something that was refined by countless generations of soul refining sect disciples. The members of the soul refining sect spent tens of thousands of years diligently studying how to refine the spell. How could anyone completely remake the spell in merely 10 years without even the true inheritance? Hu Pao's benefactor couldn't do this. Maybe the person inside the armor could, but he wouldn't waste his time on such a small matter. Impossible. How did this happen? Benefactor clearly told me that he had already fixed the weakness of this spell. Why? Hu Pao's dumbfounded expression suddenly turned to anger. He stared at the soul fragments around Wang Lin and shouted, "Soul fragments, quickly return!" His voice was almost breaking, but the soul fragments around Wang Lin didn't even look at him. They all circled around Wang Lin with looks of respect on their faces. "Soul fragments, quickly return!" Hu Pao roared like crazy, but the soul fragments still circled Wang Lin. Hu Pao's heart was filled with rage as his body trembled and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. He spent countless days and nights during the last 10 years refining souls. His courage continued to expand until he had refined 100 million of them. At that moment, he believed that he had the power to pierce the heavens. He had become strong and could kill Wang Lin to take Wang Lin's place. However, at this moment when he was facing Wang Lin, all of that disappeared. More than 10 years of hard work were handed over to Wang Lin just like that. The flame of rage burned brightly in his heart, brightly enough to almost make him collapse. "Wang Lin, I will kill you." The veins on Hu Pao's face bulged out and he became crazy. The current him looked even crazier than Wang Lin when he was under the effect of the celestial ascension fruit. Because he had hopes, when his hopes were shattered, he became even more disappointed and crazy. Wang Lin revealed a complex expression. He waved his right hand and sighed. "You rebelled because of me. Before you die, I'll let you see a true spell using the soul flag." The 1 billion soul flag flew out from Wang Lin's bag of holding. The surrounding 100 million soul fragments suddenly trembled before they rapidly fused into one soul. This soul was crystal clear as it threw a punch at Hu Pao. When the punch landed, Hu Pao's body trembled and was torn asunder along with his soul. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he waved the 1 billion soul flag, and the 100 million soul fragments flew into it. There was a hint of struggle in the clarity in his eyes. He looked into the distance and could see that there was a black tower far in the distance. There was an old man standing below the tower. He was wearing black armor and was also looking toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's gaze moved away from the old man and moved to the tower. He could feel powerful, devilish energy coming from the black tower. This was true devilish energy. There was a distinct difference between this and the devilish energy created from cultivator's cultivation. Now that Wang Lin had sobered up, his pupil shrank. This devilish energy was very powerful, extremely powerful. The person inside the tower had to be a peerless expert. Wang Lin took a deep breath. His origin soul and his body hadn't completely fused yet. It would still take half a month for his origin soul and body to become one. And only then would his cultivation of early stage ascendant be stabilized. The celestial ascension fruit is simply too tyrannical, although it allowed me to withstand his attacks. It also made me enter a state of craze that I have never entered before. Wang Lin took a deep breath and stared into the distance before him. The old man wearing black armor below the tower took a step. This step caused the earth to tremble, and the trembling spread to Wang Lin's feet. Late stage ascendant, this person's cultivation. No wait, this person's true cultivation level isn't this high, it is the armor on his body. The clarity in his eyes struggled once more. The effect of the celestial ascension fruit was attacking his mind like crazy, trying to return him to the madness once more. Wang Lin's eyes became cold, and he let out a cold snort to suppress the effect of the fruit. Then he raised his right hand to point at the sky. There was a loud rumble as a large river appeared in the sky. Shortly after, he pointed to the spot between his eyebrows with his left hand. A ray of golden light came out from his forehead and into his left hand. Ling Qianhu's sword energy appeared. The old man in black armor's eyes lit up, and he stopped. Leo has caught a cold, his nose running like a leaky faucet, making it unlikely he'll make it home tomorrow. Trying hard to ensure a new update, but lacking the energy, longing for the like button for the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 607, Condensing the River as Soul. The black-armored old man frowned, and his eyes lit up. First he looked at the river in the sky. After pausing for a moment, his gaze moved to the sword energy left by Sword Ling Xianhu. His eyes were glowing brightly as he stared at that sword energy and sucked in a breath of cold air. There is something mysterious about this river formed by his Tao. However, it has just formed, so there isn't enough power behind it. But this sword energy is strong, very strong. The person who created this sword energy must be a peerless expert. I am afraid that person's cultivation level has already entered Nirvana Shatterer. Wang Lin's two most powerful hands were brought out. His goal wasn't to fight but to shock the enemy. Wang Lin had already become sober. The madness from the fruit had been suppressed and he had regained his cunning. Right now this old man was not someone he could deal with, let alone the mysterious existence in the Black Tower. The black-armored old man's gaze withdrew from the sword energy. He then looked toward Wang Lin and silently pondered. The surroundings were completely silent except for the sound of the underworld river flowing in the air. The sound of the river flowing created sound ripples that diffused across the area. Just at this moment, a huge divine sense suddenly charged out from the tower behind the black-armored old man. "Where did you learn that palm print?" The divine sense echoed like a thunderous roar. The moment this sound appeared, the ground began to shatter, but it stopped 100 feet before Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He remembered now it was this voice that had seriously injured him countless times on the way here. If not for the slaughter energy and finger of death, he would have already died. Wang Lin said, "I learned it in the celestial realm." The huge divine sense muttered, "Celestial realm, yes. He did go to the celestial realm once back then." Wang Lin began to retreat. He was no longer under the effect of the celestial ascension fruit. Now that he had calmed down, he was covered in cold sweat. "Capture him alive." After the divine sense sent out this message, it disappeared back into the tower. The black-armored old man didn't hesitate before suddenly leaping into the air. He moved like a bolt of lightning toward Wang Lin. With his late-stage ascending cultivation, his hand formed a seal and he shouted, "Wind!" With one word, a giant tornado suddenly appeared. As it swept across the ground, the earth began to shatter, and countless broken rocks were mixed into the tornado as it charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he backed up several steps and his right hand pointed at the sky. The underworld river suddenly descended from the sky and swept across the area. The incoming tornado was stopped by the flow of the underworld river. After a few bursts of reincarnation energy, the tornado was pulled into the underworld river. "Such a young age, and you already have your own Tao. You are not simple." The old man's voice was calm. His hand formed a seal and pointed at the sky. "Thunder!" After the old man shouted, the sky immediately darkened and dark clouds suddenly filled the sky. These dark clouds looked like ugly faces. With the word thunder, a small gap suddenly appeared in the black clouds. Following a loud rumble, a ray of black thunder descended from the sky. Wang Lin's expression changed as he raised his left pinky without any hesitation toward the descending thunder. Underworld finger. Wang Lin couldn't afford to underestimate this thunder spell. He heard from Situ Nan that thunder spells were the most difficult to practice. Unless someone had a lot of skill, they were very difficult to learn. This was because thunder was considered the power of the heavens, and how could the power of the heavens be so easily used by a human? The underworld river began to move due to the underworld finger. The entire underworld river began to move following the direction of Wang Lin's finger. Then the underworld river charged into the black thunder in the sky, carrying the power of reincarnation. An earth-shattering explosion echoed across the sky. Although the underworld river began to collapse, the black thunder was also dissipating. After 1/3 of the underworld river had collapsed, the black thunder dissipated completely. "Your Tao is very powerful," the black-armored old man sneered. His right hand pointed at the sky again and he shouted, "Rain!" The dark clouds in the sky suddenly shrank and drops of black rain immediately began to fall. These raindrops fell down from the sky like swords straight toward Wang Lin. Late-stage ascendant is indeed something I can beat. However, if you want to kill me, it will not be this simple. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he took a step and walked directly into the underworld river. When he entered the underworld river, he merged with it. He became his Tao. He was the underworld river. The underworld river that had already lost 1/3 of itself immediately formed a giant wave after Wang Lin walked in. It flowed on the ground and in the blink of an eye turned into a dragon. Wang Lin was located at the head of the dragon. The dragon head rose up and let out a roar. This was the roar of the underworld. It was Wang Lin's heaven-defying Tao. This was the roar Wang Lin gave as he raised his head. The black rain falling from the sky suddenly paused after the roar. Then the black raindrops all shattered and turned into slivers of black smoke. In the blink of an eye, the sky was covered in black smoke. What a good fusion with your Tao. Unfortunately, I don't think your Tao can even withstand one hit from me. This old man doesn't have his own Tao, but this armor of mine does. The old man's expression was normal. His arms opened up as he sneered and flew into the air before shouting, "Wind!" The wind picked up again and formed a giant vortex in the sky. This was a vortex of wind, and its appearance caused all of the black gas to be sucked into it. The old man shouted again, "Rain!" Drops of black rain appeared inside the vortex. These raindrops were made of devilish energy, so they were not normal. Thunder! There was a thunderous roar, and another ray of black thunder appeared within the black clouds. At the moment the black thunder appeared, there were strands of black lightning moving within the black raindrops. At this moment, with the thunder at the center and countless raindrops connected by the black lightning, it was as if there was a giant nest of lightning covering the sky. Lightning! The old man's voice seemed to even suppress the roar of the thunder. Then the thunder, raindrops, and even the vortex descended from the sky at lightning speed. Wang Lin raised his head. This was a new peak for him. It was a battle like he never had before. Unless something heaven-defying happened, then he would without a doubt lose when trying to fight against a late-stage ascendant cultivator with only his early-stage ascendant cultivation. Wang Lin knew this well because he had that heaven-defying object. Ling Tianhua's sword energy was that heaven-defying object. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding, took out the 1 billion soul flag, and 100 million soul fragments immediately flew out. After these soul fragments appeared, they didn't fly into the sky but instead quickly flew into the underworld river. All 100 million soul fragments soon fused with the underworld river. When I was under the influence of the celestial ascension fruit, I was able to create this underworld river with my Tao. Now that I am sober, I am still able to condense the soul of the river. The 100 million soul fragments fused with the underworld river and fused into one. This soul was the soul of the underworld river. The underworld river now had a soul, so it suddenly moved when the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning descended from the sky. Wang Lin was inside the underworld river. He spread out his divine sense, and his Tao fused with the river. At this moment, his origin soul let out a roar and the underworld river charged into the sky. Now that it had a soul, the underworld river seemed to have gained intelligence. It was like a dragon as it let out a roar and wanted to devour the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning spell. At the same time, 130,000 strands of slaughter energy came out from between Wang Lin's eyebrows and fused with the dragon. Now this underworld river carried killing intent. This was Wang Lin's real underworld river. It contained 130,000 strands of slaughter energy, 100 million soul fragments, and Wang Lin's Tao. The mix of these charged out like crazy toward the descending spell from the old man. This was a battle of people at the peak. The thunder roared, the raindrops carried the lightning, and the wind vortex displayed its might as the spell collided with the underworld river. At this moment, the sky changed colors and a loud explosion echoed endlessly through air. The ground trembled as a large amount of cracks appeared everywhere. At this moment, it was as if a layer had been peeled off from the entire ancient battleground. The sky above the ancient battleground seemed to have completely shattered. This was a battle of heaven and earth. At the same time as the earth was shattered, a large amount of soul fragments flew out from underground. These soul fragments were all powerful, so they weren't refined by Hupao. When Wang Lin saw these soul fragments, his eyes lit up and he shook the soul flag in his hand. The soul flag turned into a giant black cloth that covered the sky. With just one sweep, countless souls were captured by the soul flag. These soul fragments turned into strands of black gas and fused with the underworld river. As the heavens and earth shook, the black-armored man's expression became gloomy. Then he gave Wang Lin a meaningful look and shook his head. This wind, rain, thunder, and lightning spell is my weakest spell. Next you will see the Tao that belongs to this armor. Tao of the devil. The old man wiped the armor on his chest. In an instant the armor began to move in a strange manner. Strands of devilish energy came out from the armor and quickly gathered before the old man. A sickle that gave off monstrous devilish energy formed before the old man. The devilish energy that the sickle was giving off was incredibly dense. There seemed to be some law that was outside of the heavens' control inside this devilish energy. Its appearance caused cracks to appear in the nearby space, before the space quickly shattered. This sickle wasn't completely solid, it was changing between incorporeal and corporeal. As it changed between these two states, there was a sizzling sound. The moment the sickle appeared, the old man revealed a painful expression. It was as if he was enduring unimaginable torture. The single-horned devil illusion that had entered the old man's brow appeared. Its expression was the exact opposite of the old man's. It looked very comfortable. The devil illusion completely flew out of the old man's body, turned into black smoke, and entered the sickle. The sickle suddenly became alive and charged straight at Wang Lin. The underworld river and the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning spells continued to collide, giving off loud explosions that echoed across the sky. The sickle quickly flew through the air, leaving behind a long trail of devilish flame. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he raised his right hand. Sword Saint Ling Tianhua's sword energy condensed at the tip of his finger. Ling Tianhua's life revolved around swords. He had created 4 small worlds that he refined into 4 sword gods. He was considered powerful and on par with the Ulcer on planet Tianyun. The power of his sword energy was unimaginable. Leo has a cold, with a sore throat and a bit of dizziness, not daring to promise if there will be a third watch today, doing his utmost to get through. Chapter Blood Soul Pill. The sickle was made of the devilish energy from the armor the old man was wearing. He wasn't a devil, so the devilish energy he helped create wasn't pure, meaning the sickle that appeared wasn't perfect. However, the illusion that came out from his brow was part of a real devil soul. With this devil soul, even normal metal could be turned into a devil blade, much less this sickle created from devilish energy. After the devil soul fused with the sickle, it turned into a devilish sickle. It now also carried the Tao of the devil with it. No one knew which was stronger between Ling Tianhua's sword energy and the devilish sickle with the devil soul. There was a flash of sword energy as Ling Tianhua's sword energy flew out from Wang Lin's finger. This sword energy was simply too powerful. Just it appearing caused the sky to change color. At this moment, it was as if everything in the world had stopped. Even the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning spell and the underworld river in the sky dimmed. The moment the sword light appeared, the sky was suddenly filled with sword energy. The sword energy was so dense that the underworld river went back into Wang Lin's body. The 130,000 strands of slaughter energy collapsed, and the underworld river soul turned back into 100 million soul fragments. The wind, rain, thunder, and lightning spell was the same. The black thunder immediately shattered, and the raindrops along with the black lightning it carried all crashed. Even the wind vortex was pierced through by the sword energy and immediately collapsed. The moment the sword energy appeared, all of the other spells had to make way and were not allowed to take attention from it. This was Ling Tianhua's Tao within the sword energy. Tao of tyranny. Ling Tianhu was proud his entire life and traveled the world with his tyranny. The tyranny inside his sword energy was the heaven's might. The devil illusion on the devilish sickle revealed a serious expression. The sickle flickered and charged directly at Wang Lin. The sword energy carried the Tao of tyranny as it swept toward the sickle. Ling Tianhua's figure seemed to appear behind the sword energy at the moment the sword energy and devilish sickle collided. Likewise, the illusion of a single-horned devil appeared behind the devilish sickle. At the moment they collided, the ground immediately collapsed. Then a huge rift dividing the earth appeared and quickly began to spread. The clouds in the sky immediately disappeared, and at this moment, the entire sky dimmed. The illusion of the devil behind the devilish blade revealed a frustrated expression before collapsing. Following the devilish sickle collapsed. Ling Tianhua's sword energy was now dim, leaving only a sliver of golden light. However, This sliver of golden light still contained Ling Tianhuo's Dao. At the moment the devilish sickle collapsed, the remaining sword energies swept toward the Black Tower. After Wang Lin released Ling Tianhuo's sword energy, he retreated without any hesitation. He had to retreat. He had no choice but to retreat. After Wang Lin became sober, he felt fear. If he had stepped into the tower like he was going to when he was crazy, he would have without a doubt died. Earlier, he couldn't retreat with the black-armored old man watching him. However, now that he had released the sword energy, this was the best time to retreat. The black-armored old man coughed out a large mouthful of blood when the devilish sickle collapsed. He looked weakened, but when he saw Wang Lin retreating, he clenched his teeth and wanted to chase. However, he immediately stopped. Then his expression changed and he charged directly at the sword energy. The sword energy was headed directly toward the Black Tower. He knew how important the Black Tower was. Although the old man's speed was fast, the sword energy was even faster. The sword energy arrived next to the tower in an instant. A cold snort came from the tower, causing the sword energy to tremble, but it didn't dissipate. The tyrannical nature of the sword energy allowed it to pierce through the power of the cold snort and land on the tower. A soft "A" came from inside the Black Tower. Although the Black Tower didn't collapse, cracks appeared on it. What a powerful sword energy! The person who created this sword energy is even stronger than me at my prime. The black-armored old man let out a big breath of relief when he saw that the sword energy dissipated and the Black Tower didn't collapse. Just at this moment, thick devilish energy came out from the tower and directly entered the old man's body. The black armor that the old man was wearing gave off a demonic glow. His body immediately began to swell up, and soon he expanded to a 30-foot-tall giant. The armor he was wearing also expanded with him. A black horn grew on the old man's forehead and gave off a cold aura. At this moment, the old man was no longer human. He let out a painful roar before suddenly turning around. He looked at the retreating Wang Lin, and his eyes became cold. "Little bastard, I want to see where you are going to escape to." With that, he chased after Wang Lin. "I won because of the Celestial Ascension Fruit, but I also lost because of the Celestial Ascension Fruit." Wang Lin let out a sigh before his eyes lit up and he thought, "I can only risk it." His right hand touched the bag of holding and a wax pill appeared in his hand. There were countless symbols on this wax pill, and they flickered along with Wang Lin's heartbeat. Wang Lin clenched his teeth as he split off a part of his divine sense and suddenly charged into his bag of holding. He swept through his bag and soon locked onto a small ball sealed by countless restrictions. Then his divine sense charged inside. Inside the ball, Yao Xiu's face was crimson and countless drops of sweat appeared on her face. She revealed a strange expression that was filled with pain and comfort. There were also flashes of humiliation and struggle. "Yao Xishui, tell me how to use the blood soul pill. If you don't, then I'll crush my bag of holding before I die, trapping you in the void. You will maintain your current state until your life force runs out." Wang Lin's divine sense message charged directly into Yao Xishui's soul. His message was like a bolt of lightning, causing her to suddenly become sober for a moment. However, she immediately began to struggle as the restrictions on her body created a strange feeling that was about to make her collapse. Yao Xishui struggled and said, release the restriction, I will tell you." She would rather tell Wang Lin everything than continue to endure this torment. Wang Lin's divine sense swept past Yao Xishui, and the restriction on her body immediately disappeared. Yao Xishui let out a sigh of relief. Although her face was still red, without the restriction tormenting her, she felt a lot more relaxed. She had never seen Wang Lin this anxious before. Her eyes moved and she was about to start bargaining with him. Wang Lin had split his divine sense, so only a part of it had gone inside the bag, while the other part was controlling his body. At this moment, the black-armored old man was catching up. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and a war axe flew out from his bag of holding. This was the war axe from the giant demon clan. After Wang Lin took it out, he threw it and shouted, "Explode!" The war axe trembled and suddenly exploded, creating a powerful shock wave. The black-armored old man frowned and let out a cold snort. He waved his hand and the shock wave from the axe immediately dissipated. Inside the bag of holding, Wang Lin shouted, "Are you going to speak?" With one thought, the restrictions appeared once more. If she refused to speak, then he was prepared to let her continue to struggle in agony. Yao Xishui's face was crimson, but her eyes were filled with fear. Without any hesitation, she quickly told Wang Lin the method to use the blood soul pill. At this moment in the outside world, the black-armored old man swept away the shockwave from the war axe. Then his right hand reached out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin questioned Yao Xishu again inside the bag of holding before coming back out. He crushed the blood soul pill in his hand, and then a drop of blue blood appeared. With no time to lose, Wang Lin bit the tip of his finger and began drawing a complex symbol in the air with his blood. After this symbol was formed, it quickly fused with the drop of blue blood. Wang Lin quickly grabbed it and pressed it between his eyebrows. At this moment, the 30-foot-tall black-armored old man closed in. Then the symbol came back out from between Wang Lin's eyebrows. He flicked the symbol tens of thousands of kilometers away, and it disappeared over the horizon. After doing all of this, Wang Lin suddenly turned around and the clarity in his eyes disappeared. What replaced it was a crazy amount of killing and battle intent. "Old thing, die for me." The crazy Wang Lin's eyes were blood red. After letting out a ferocious roar, instead of retreating, he charged at the old man. When he rushed at the old man, a flame suddenly appeared all over this body. This flame came from inside his body and was a very thick and powerful flame. The black-armored man's expression suddenly changed. Rather than closing in, he backed off and then continued to retreat. "You've gone crazy." The old man's eyes were filled with shock. Self-destruct. The self-destruct of an ascendant cultivator. The power of this explosion was something not even this old man wanted to face. The mysterious power of the celestial ascension fruit filled his mind. He was already crazy, and his origin soul was currently burning. Those 4 drops of celestial liquid began to boil as his origin soul burned. Wang Lin's figure moved like a meteor and charged directly at the old man. As the old man's expression changed, he continued to retreat. Explode! The flame around Wang Lin's body suddenly burned even stronger. He looked at the old man, and his body was suddenly destroyed by the celestial spiritual energy inside him. His origin soul was also destroyed along with the body, creating an unimaginable shockwave. If a normal ascendant cultivator were to self-destruct, at most the old man would be injured. However, Wang Lin had the 4 drops of celestial liquid inside his body, so the difference was huge. The power of the self-destruct spread like crazy. The old man's body was the first thing hit, and he immediately coughed out blood. The armor on his body immediately turned into threads and formed a shield before his body to resist against the power of this self-destruct. However, the shield only lasted 3 breaths of time before it condensed into the image of a devil. Then it immediately left the old man and flew toward the Black Tower. Without the shield protecting him, the old man was immediately hit by the power of Wang Lin's self-destruct, and his body collapsed. While Wang Lin blew himself up, just as his body was exploding, he looked at the Black Tower and threw a punch. This punch was formed by his Tao, life, and origin soul. It even contained the will of the ancient god. All of these powers from his body were used in this punch. This punch formed a powerful gust of wind and charged straight at the Black Tower. The Black Tower shook, and the cracks left by Ling Tianhu's sword energy began to spread. In the blink of an eye, the entire Black Tower collapsed. A set of armor missing a wrist guard floated quietly in the air. There was a bright flash of a ghostly light, and a divine sense rushed out. "You dare to destroy my Devil Tower. Even if you have a relationship with him, I'll kill you." The Devil Tower was an important tool that provided devilish energy, which allowed the divine sense inside the armor to spread out. Without the Devil Tower, it wouldn't be able to cover a majority of the demon spirit land like before. A black formation was uncovered on the ground where the tower used to be. There was a person sitting in the lotus position in the formation. His long hair flowed in the wind, and there were golden purple tattoos on his body. The armor in the sky descended, turned into black threads, and surrounded this person. In the blink of an eye, the armor was being worn by this person, and at this moment, the person opened his eyes. Hundreds of kilometers away, a drop of blue blood appeared from the void. The moment this drop of blood appeared, it quickly flew off into the distance. As it flew, the drop of blood slowly turned into the figure of Wang Lin. Leo goes to the hospital with his wife, then directly to pick up his daughter from school, continuing the storytelling upon return.